All right, all right. A few minutes late. That's how it is sometimes. I'm here. I'm here, and I hope you will be too. So right now, there's no one with me. I'll just filibuster for a little second till some folks actually show up, and we can have our usual discussion. I want to remind you guys that we have a Discord called the Bitter Medicine Podcast Discord server. The link is in the description of every live video that we put out. Please join, and so you can have the topics that you're interested in. You can have those discussed every Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We go till about 11 on Shoot the Breeze. Saturday night Shoot the Breeze. So make sure you guys join the Discord and post your topics. Just a reminder about the Discord. The Shoot the Breeze topics channel is just that. Shoot the Breeze topics. If you see a topic that interests you and you want to discuss it, copy it over to the Shoot the Breeze Lounge. The lounge is where we could kick back, have conversations, and if you want everyone to be involved, just type in the word the symbol at, then the word everyone, and then post what you want to discuss, and everyone will see it. Everyone will get dinged. Everyone will see it, and you can have a discussion with everyone potentially on your topics. But if you also, again, if you want to have topics discussed on Shoot the Breeze on a Saturday night, by all means, join the Discord. I see a few people are in attendance. If you don't mind, those of you who are in attendance, please drop a 1 for me in the chat. Let me know that I'm actually being heard out there on the digital airwaves of YouTube. Let me know that I'm actually being heard out there by you guys. Just drop a 1 in the chat for me. Okay, provide triggers for evolution. She's out there. How are you, sis? She typed a 1 for me. I do appreciate that. That lets me know I can now go ahead and tell you guys what's in store tonight. On tonight's episode of Shoot the Breeze, we are discussing, do you still believe in Russia as an ally to Africans? Let's get serious. We're going to talk about hashtag FBA gets white approval. We're going to talk about another cultural theft from Africa. We're going to talk about Israel. This was supposed to occur last week, but I had some issues with Instagram. Seems like it's fixed this week. Israel recognizing Somaliland is yet another example of Zionist colonial management in Africa. You guys might remember last week we had a good discussion on Israel. Some people came and talked about the Arabs. What we're talking about Israel. The Arabs is another problem you're going to have to deal with, but that discussion was about Israel. And the last topic for tonight, did you know Nana Walter Rodney challenged Jamaica's so-called motto, quote, out of many, one people? So we're going to discuss those things tonight. You can join the panel by clicking the link that's pinned to the top of the chat. In the meantime, do me a favor, retweet, share the show, hit the like button, donate to the goal. I usually don't even bring it up, but it's a new year, new me. Let's hit the Cash App, let's hit the Super Chat, and donate to the goal. We're going to start the show officially now. On the other side, I'll drop Shoot the Breeze topic number 1, as well as introduce any and all of my panelists. Please stay tuned.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAC Radio. Welcome to the Bitter Medicine Podcast, where it's all about Black empowerment. Our show focuses on Black news and entertainment, arts, science, economics, history, people, and strategies that uplift, empower, and motivate Africans within the diaspora. And now, your host, whose favorite color is black, Goku.
Welcome back to the Bitter Medicine Podcast. I am your host, Koku. Just want to remind you guys before we get the show rolling that this show is part of a podcast network called KWAZ Radio. There are other shows on the network you are invited to tune into.
This is D Webb with the Harsh Reality Podcast, asking you to tune in where we tackle the news of the day that affects our community, only on KWAZ Radio.
Peace, family. This is Oni, inviting you to listen to the Pro-Black Perspective, where Black problems are addressed with Black solutions.
Greetings, fam. Tune in to The Learning Curve with me, the Revolutionary Matron on KWAZ Radio.
You are listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast on KWAC Radio.
Yes, indeed. Make sure you're also tuned in to Brother Bakari BBN Network. I know he hasn't done a live in a while, but I'm sure he'll be back. Tune in to Forecast Radio. Tune in to Considerate Cheek, Realm in the Bush. She's relocated to Africa. She's been doing some lives from there. Make sure to check her out. Last but not least, make sure to check out Kofi, the Black Critic. Also, make sure you guys are supporting the matron, reading these works, Black books. Show that you care about Black literature and Black authors and conscious thinking. Support her when she does her lives. So right now, there's only a few of us here. And without further ado, man, let's just get right into it. I'm the only panelist now. I'm sure others will come. Shout out to Provide Triggers. Shout out to Brother Bakari, who says peace and Black African power in the chat. Shoot the Breeze, topic number 1 says, do you still believe in Russia as an ally to Africans? Let's get serious. This came with 2 attachments. First one takes us to a post by one angry biracial. Make sure you guys could see what I see. There you go. So this is a post from Angry Biracial. It says, reports reveal Russia is forcing Africans into suicide missions in Ukraine. Russia is forcing Africans into suicide missions in Ukraine. Before I get any deeper into the topic, let me welcome in Black Steel this week. Black Steel, how are you?
I'm doing great, Coco. How about yourself?
I'm hanging in there. I'm good. Thanks for coming through.
No problem.
Yes, sir. So, again, should be topic number 1. Do you still believe in Russia as an ally to Africans? Let's get serious. So, this takes us to Angry Biracial's post. It says, reports reveal Russia is forcing Africans into suicide missions in Ukraine. So, this is a clipping of online, I guess, newspaper. It says, Russia forces African recruits to become suicide bombers. Thousands from the continent being press-ganged by Moscow before being sent on, quote-unquote, meat grinder attacks. Before I show you the video, let me just look at some of the comments. There's the 28 comments. Someone says they could use a robot to deliver bombs, but they just want to hurt black people. Someone else says they should have been home, talking about the Africans. Someone else says, I tried to warn several Africans, especially when those vile Eastern Europeans started pushing nonsense propaganda about Russians not being racist. They call me names and accuse me of being many things. I feel sorry for the families of those enlisted. It must be sad knowing your family and friends threw their lives away for nothing. That's just a few of the comments I want to touch on. There's a second attachment here. Let me share this tab with you guys. Make sure you guys can see it. Shout out to Kofi in the chat saying Black Power family. We're going to watch this short video or reel. Might play it twice just to make sure that the point comes across.
Сейчас побежит хули ебать, по лесу будет скакать. Давай, шо сказал? Давай, иди, сказал.
О, глянь, сколько одноразочек. Еще и поют. Радостные. Ничего, сейчас на залив пойдут. По-другому запоют.
When Malcolm X said the white man was the devil, he wasn't just talking about Americans. Russians are Europeans, they're white men too. And instead of fighting their own wars, they do what these cave beasts have always done. They capture, they enslave, and they force black bodies to die for them. Because Russia is getting his ass kicked in Ukraine, it is tricking and kidnapping Africans and forcing them to be suicide bombers. He has a bomb on his stomach because in their eyes, black bodies are disposable. They always have been. It's the same thing here in America, except there's no literal bomb strapped on black soldiers' chests. The vast majority of black soldiers are in the infantry, on the front lines. Black bodies have always been disposable, cannon fodder, worthless to America. And until we start caring about our own bodies, we're going to keep being disposable for white wars, for white oil grabs, used as pawns to terrorize other brown countries and brown peoples. People of African descent all over the world need to understand one fundamental truth. The white man, no matter if he's American, Russian, German, anyone who hails from Europe, from the Caucasus Mountains, is your enemy.
So I'm going to play that again because sometimes I forget. This is also an audio podcast. And, you know, the empty spaces doesn't help the person who's listening to just audio. So I'm going to mute it. I'm going to play it. And I'm going to tell you what's happening on screen. So right now, we're looking at a black soldier with a bomb attached to his chest. Russian military men are behind him, prodding him, sending him out ahead of them. They tell him things like, go on, move, like they're kind of forcing him out into, you know, whatever the conflict is that's going on. And they're, being very messed up about it, saying like, go, move, I said, things like that. Then there's a scene here where Africans are out in the forest. It's snow on the ground. Africans are kind of entertaining, African soldiers kind of entertaining themselves, communicating in their language, I think. And off screen, someone says, look at the disposable ones. Talking about black soldiers. These dudes are there. I don't know how they got there, but they're there to help you guys with your conflict. And you're filming them talking about, look at the disposable ones. After this, they're clowning the fact that the Africans are joyful. These African soldiers are joyful. They're singing. They're doing the things I imagine you do to keep your spirits up. But these guys who they went to help, these guys are clowning, right? And now they're kind of cracking jokes that don't worry about it. They'll leave here and they'll start singing different. You know what that means. So I'm gonna now replay the audio from the person who posted the video. You heard this commentary a second ago, but you'll hear it for a second time.
The white man was the devil. He wasn't just talking about Americans. Russians are Europeans, they're white men too. And instead of fighting their own wars, they do what these cave beasts have always done. They capture, they enslave, and they force black bodies to die for them. Because Russia is getting his ass kicked in Ukraine, it is tricking and kidnapping Africans and forcing them to be suicide bombers. He has a bomb on his stomach because in their eyes, black bodies are disposable. They always have been. It's the same thing here in America, except there's no literal bomb strapped on black soldiers' chests. The vast majority of black soldiers are in the infantry, on the front lines. Black bodies have always been disposable, cannon fodder, worthless to America. And until we start caring about our own bodies, we're going to keep being disposable for white wars, for white oil grabs, used as pawns to terrorize other brown countries and brown peoples. People of African descent all over the world need to understand one fundamental truth. The white man, no matter if he's American, Russian, German, anyone who hails from Europe, from the Caucasus Mountains, is your enemy.
Yeah, well said by, I guess that's the angry biracial. Well said. Wow, well said. Someone commented, said, this is one of the best, if not the best of commentaries that I've heard all year. Thank you for this video. Someone else says this isn't war. So let's try to top that. Let's try to top the commentary here. Real quick, let me touch on what's being said in the chat. Shout out to Trigger Happy. Trigger Happy says black people in Russia or Ukraine are not very wise. I'm sorry. We all need to get familiar with the idea of positive neutrality when it comes to our foreign policy. It calls back to the Israel topic too. He goes on to say positive neutrality should be understood as us, or as, I guess that's the U.S. as black people working together, by race, then working with other nations we don't have strong relations with, then taking the wealth from other nations. That wealth would go to black people while we try to maneuver relations with foreign nations. Russia definitely not an ally by kinship, as we can see here. Russia is useful in limiting NATO influence. Real quick, due to the platform that I'm using, StreamYard, when you guys put those emojis, I don't see the emoji, just to let you know. I just see it as letters. So if you could spell it out a little bit, that'd be great. Provide triggers for evolution says, I think Africans joining the Russian military is a symptom of economic desperation. Reason why the continent needs to get its economic affairs in order. Otherwise, this form of exploitation of black bodies will continue globally, keeping Africans in a disadvantaged position. Very good comments so far. Keep the comments rolling. That helps the conversations up here be even a little bit more thorough. Before I get into it, let me welcome in Brother Bakari this week. Brother Bakari, what say you?
Peace, my brother. What's going on, Black Steel?
Yes, sir. Thanks for coming through. Let me start with let me start with Black Steel. Black Steel, do you still believe in Russia as an ally to Africans? Let's get serious. Talk about it.
Well, I don't know where it was said that Russia was an ally to African people. We have no friends, right? We don't really have any allies, especially in the white world. I would say that if you need to be strategic, you could play one enemy off of the other. We know Russia wants to limit NATO's influence. So it's possible to play one hostile European power off of another one. But I want to know how they got there. Are they signing up to fight in another country's military in exchange for what? Citizenship, scholarships. I just want to know, and I don't even know what these African people are from, but what course of events came about to find you in the Ukraine, right? Um, that's one thing. But yeah, I don't think any European nation is our ally, right? They can be used strategically, There may be some ideological things we may have in common, but Russia is Russia. It's not the Soviet Union anymore. Soviet Union was communist, anti-imperialist, and these are just regular white people. Let them fight their war. And we saw what happened when there were some African students in Ukraine who were in Ukraine at the time, and they were trying to push them to fight on the front lines. So, but the reason those African people were in Ukraine was because they were going to school there, because they were not able to get the educational opportunities in their home countries. So you're going to see this problem. This is a problem that is not just in Russia, but you can say that for the U.S. military as well. Why do young people join the military? Sometimes it's a family tradition, but a lot of times it's a way to get out of poverty, right? The military runs a poverty draft, right? In the poorest counties in the school districts, you have the ROTC, and they recruit there, and they say, hey, if you want to get a better life out the ghetto, or you want to go someplace and start making money, you can join the military. You can have a 20-year career, and you can graduate in your 40s, and so on and so forth. And this is something that is very attractive to some people because, again, but they lack opportunities. And I think that what we're seeing for these black people fighting for the Russians is really just a global aspect of the military poverty draft that's in place. So that's my thoughts on it. I think that what you're seeing is desperation, and if they had an opportunity to do something better, they probably would. I think this is it's really sad on his face.
But Black Steel, before you go, so I didn't realize at first there was slides here. So they say that South Africans are being lured to suicide missions in Ukraine. You have a guy here saying I was tricked. An African athlete lured to Russia for work ends up in front lines of Ukraine war. Well, Black Steel, the question I have for you, I guess, is: has that ever been the case? Has it been true, or is it true that you're going to join these people's military and get a better life afterwards? When has it been true? When last was it true? And how come we aren't picking up on, our people aren't picking up on, you're not going to get anything better out of it? They watch their own white folks be homeless all about in Seattle and all this kind of stuff. They're not checking for them. Why do we still fall for this idea that we have some future after risking our lives serving these people?
I think that the imaging and the propaganda is very effective about many young people. If you join the military, you get 4 meals a day, you get a place to stay. And that's very attractive to somebody who doesn't know what they're gonna do out of high school, and they have never been educated with any type of pride for their race, any type of understanding of global politics or anything else like that. That's something that, hey, I can join the military. And like you said, there's a lot of veterans who come out homeless and with mental, PTSD and mental issues. But then they look at that small percentage, or look at this guy. He did his time in the military, and now he's retired. He got nice money. They don't look behind the curtain and see the struggle that so many people who joined the military had to deal with. So I guess a lot of it, like the dude said, he was tricked. I think a lot of it is ignorance, personally, especially in this situation here. You had Africans join the Russian military. Like, I'm confused. Like, there's wars you can fight in Africa if you want to just want to fight somebody. I don't get it.
Yeah, excellent point. There's wars in Africa you could go and fight if you just want to fight. But this is, I suspect there's a little something else going on here, and I think you kind of touched on it. I think there's low racial self-esteem. I think we feel like we did something by fighting for these folks and being able to say, "Well, we fought for y'all uh, during such and such a time," and at first I was beginning to think maybe there's a maybe we're failing. Maybe we're not working hard enough. We're not outmaneuvering the propaganda that they get. But I'm saying, I mean, for like in America for black folks, you've known for 50 years or more that you don't really get nothing out of serving. Sure, you may get a couple of meals a day and this, that, and the other, but what happens after? And there's enough examples to see what happens after. I think there's something else going on here. But let's see what Brother Bakari says. Brother Bakari, do you still believe in Russia as an ally to Africans?
Hell no, I never believed it. I never thought you could use where I disagree with Black Steel. You can't use a European country against another when you don't have a military to defend yourself. They all have the same end goal, is to take from black folk. And the problem is black folk run around the world, African folk run around the world looking for the people that has historically treated you awful, to look out for you, right? To take care of you. I'm going to Ukraine to get an education when you should be fighting a war, and your revolution should be at home to overthrow the government that keeping you in that position. But I'm going to go to Ukraine. See, it bothered people when I said, if that was my country, I would make them get in my military too. War start. Now you want to leave. You ran your ass over here to get some benefits. Now war starting, you saying it's not your country. It doesn't work like that. We can say, well, it's wrong all we want. Right? It ain't about right. It ain't about whether it's wrong. Right and wrong. It's about, but I did this for y'all. Y'all gonna do something for us. So you run over there. And now that happened. And now you're in Russia. That's why I'm still second guessing, and I will forever question the friendship that Burkina Faso have with Russia. I will forever question it. Name something Russia has done for African people other than talk. They ain't never went to war for African people, had they? I can name a time when the Zulus was fighting over in late 1800s, early 1900s fighting. I can name a time where they sent their military to South Africa to fight with white people against the Zulus. But we can't name a time where they went to war for African people. You can't use them. And until we realize that, the only people we can truly use is us. And if we want our stuff better, we're going to have to overthrow our governments so we can make our stuff better the way it should be. Then it won't get better. Another thing, like when Black Steel said, it's like black people in America joining the military. Not really. You can say it's almost similar. But black people here love to say they're American. Like me, I'm African, but I was born and raised here, African American. It's completely different than saying I'm going to join a military in a country where I was born and raised, where my ancestors been here 300-400 years, than me getting on a plane, going to a frozen ice box called Ukraine for an education, or letting somebody trick me to come to Russia. But there's been a lot of Russian propaganda and a lot that black people believe about racism in Russia. They think it's different. They have places in Russia where black people can't even go. Bawana was on the panel one time. We were all on the panel. And I can't ever remember the guy's name. But Bawana looked him up. A black boxer from Russia. And he just constantly talked about all the racism in Russia and how he was constantly called the N-word in Russia and how what they would do to black people in Russia. But for some strange reason, we still feel we can use these people to fight the other ones. No, you can't. No, because you haven't built a military to defend yourself. If you had a military, a strong military, where you could use them and they can't turn and take from you, that would be one thing. But if you have to depend on them and the Chinamans and everybody else to do every damn thing for you, you're really in a position where you can't use nobody for nothing. You can hope and pray. And that's what black people is doing all around the world, hoping and praying. So no, they are not an ally. They would never be an ally. And I don't care who don't shit. There's been a lot of people who don't like what I say about the situation, but that's not a good idea, tying your hands with white folks like that. All of them are saying they all want to run the world. Russia and Ukraine, those are just Vikings. If you study the history of these stuff, these people have never stopped fighting. The Russians, those are the Rus. Rus is the old Norse word. Rus is the root word for Russia. Ukraine was founded by Vikings. Greenland, who the lunatic in office them say they want. Greenland, founded by Vikings. Then you have Denmark and Norway gonna stand with all this shit, just Viking shit, and they've been having these same wars for 1,000 years. And now all of a sudden, we're gonna figure out a way to say, yeah, they're gonna partner with us. No, they are advanced when it comes to war. They've been making damn weapons of mass destruction for a long time. Go back to the cannon and everything. They've been doing it for a very long time, and we haven't tried to do anything to defend ourselves. So you can tie your hands with somebody who's much powerful than you, and whoever you are trying to get them to help you move, whoever you want moved out of your way, once they're moved out your way, like Dr. John Henry Clark said about the Arabs over in Egypt. He said the Arabs helped the Egyptians get rid of Rome. But the Arabs been on their back ever since. If you haven't built anything to defend yourself, you just gonna go down that road with somebody else, a different person that want to treat you bad and take all your stuff. That's my thought on it. I yield the mic.
Good stuff, Brother Bakari. Real quick, you guys probably noticed, those of you on Twitter, that there's been a lot of heated discussions about the Arabs in Egypt the last couple of days because young African-American brother I Show Speed, who's a YouTube influencer, went over to the continent. He made several stops, but I guess most recently he went to Egypt, and he was asking them why are the noses on these statues destroyed. And this Arab woman is giving him some bullshit as to why. You could kind of tell he's looking at her like, bitch, I know why the noses are gone. But now though, you have all these Arabs out of Egypt who are talking about, we are the true Egyptians. You black guys are trying to erase our history and all this kind of stuff. It's very interesting. I thought to bring a prompt on it, but maybe Trigger, since you've been following, if you don't mind, maybe you'll bring something next week for us so we could tackle it. It's very, 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 very interesting. Also, to Brother Bakari's point, I think we made that play before, that pitting the one European power against the next. We made that play before. We were, some will say we weren't even successful then, but we were successful because Haiti became an independent nation, the first black independent nation. So it did work. They just got sabotaged after, because all these Europeans, to Brother Bakari's point, got back on code, and they handed a financial whoop ass to Haiti for that, and Haiti has been in a mess ever since. So I don't know if we could play that with Russia again, but I think Trigger makes a good point in the chat. He says Brother Bakari is making some important points, but to be fair, AES is in a position where they can make partnerships compared to other black nations and communities. So I would give you that AS stands a little stronger than what we've seen in the recent past. But still, this idea that Africans are leaving the continent or wherever they are to go and be pushed on the front lines is cannon fodder. When my panelists here made good points, there's got to be somewhere in Africa you could go and support. Shit, but Bakari said it. In your own home country, you should go and fight and try change the government and how things go and etc. But Bakari said a lot of things towards Black Steel's points. Black Steel, I'm gonna give you a chance here if you want to respond to Brother Bakari.
Well, I mean, I do agree that, unless you have a military, you really shouldn't be trying to make alliances with people, because what are you going to get out of it? People are trying, many countries, in fact, I would say most countries in the world are trying to break away from the US's hegemony. They are tired of being, having the dollar weaponized against them. So they're looking for alternatives, right? And you see a multipolar world starting to emerge. A lot of people are trying to trade with China. They're joining organizations like the BRICS movement. Again, Russia is no one's ally. Russia's not in it for because they just love black people. But no, I mean, honestly, when you got to deal with situations like this, black people going overseas to fight another country's war like that is ridiculous. What are you going to get out of it? So I don't have any problem with that there. It's just in the past, like you mentioned with Haiti, for example, they were, the Haitian revolutionaries were able to get weapons from the Spanish, use them to fight against the French, things like that. You can try to get in where you can fit in. But the ultimate goal should always be your independence and your freedom. And, going overseas to fight for the Russians and to be humiliated and being served up as cannon fodder, things got to improve. I assume these people are driven to desperation. If we don't address the material conditions in their home countries, this is going to continue. But I don't really disagree with what Brother Bakar is saying at all, honestly.
And
I think that Black
Steel,
was
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I thought.
No, real quick. I think the black box you thought. I think it was like Kevin Johnson or something like that. KJ, the black Russian boxer who was complaining about all the racism and stuff like that. But Bakari, go
ahead. In Black Steel, what you just said, that's why I said the revolution should be in these African countries. And then we can get the proper the proper leadership in who's going to take care of the people, because that's insane. You have all of the resources in the world and you have to go somewhere else to let somebody tell you need their education. Like if you go to the hospital, right, and you see a lot of, sometimes you see African nurses, right? You know why they're a nurse here? Because their education in Africa is not valued by Europeans. Most of those people have already gone to school in their country to be a doctor. But they have to go to a European country or maybe an Asian country, but mainly a European country to say, I'm a doctor. But when you're constantly bending your knees to them, we're gonna constantly go through this as a people, because really it affects the Africans in the diaspora with these crooked people in charge. See, when I say what I say about Burkina Faso, don't mean I don't like the fact that they're fighting for their freedom and they want to get away from that. But we do need a military, right? And that's all I'm and that's what I'm saying. It's ours. That's why our revolution should be over there. Because let's say hypothetically a European nation come and overthrow and get them out and say, oh, we gonna so what they just gonna place a puppet there for them so they can get what they want. Man, there's no way that in 2025, and I'm not knocking nobody for building up their country now, but in 2025, you're still bragging on, ooh, we basic infrastructure. We got paved roads now. Come on, man, we shouldn't be that far behind, but we're that far behind because of these crooks who's in charge, who don't care as long as they're rich, their family, their friends, and everything around them is rich. They don't care about the other people. We have all the resources in the world. And I'm not saying don't use, if I don't know how to do this. Now, I think they should be reaching out to America if they can, and have African American asphalt companies come over there and let them train you, make them millionaires, and let them show you how to use the equipment and show you how to pave your own roads instead of going to Europeans and Asians. But that should be the ultimate goal. If it's something I don't know how to do, I will use you for that. But it's a limited amount of y'all that can come here, unless they're some Africans from the diaspora. It's a limited amount that gonna come. And once we got it under control, we don't need y'all no more. Y'all get up, y'all leave our country, and it's just that simple. You know, Mike.
Yeah, recently we talked about how Ghana sent engineers, structural engineers, to Jamaica after the hurricane stuff that happened there this past year. And I read, I want to say it was today or yesterday, I read where I think it's Rwanda is sending a crew now too to go help Jamaica. And my thing is, like Brother Bakari said, why not at times invite those of us in the West, I guess you could say, invite those of us with the technical capabilities, because we know the truth anyway. We know that most times on these jobs, we talked about this before. I talked about my experience in like research and science and stuff. Most times it's the technician who knows the shit, and most times it's one of us, some black or so-called brown person doing that job. So why doesn't the continent, the leadership there, start to realize, hey man, we have our own people. They're not just good for media and entertainment. They are also educated out there by these folks, in these folks' schools, in some of the top schools in the world. Why don't we invite them to come and be the lead engineer as opposed to being the associate engineer or some shit in the States? You come and be the lead here. And we might not be able to compete in terms of raw salary, but we can give you enough perks of being back in your homeland, and we could give you enough perks around that idea that makes it worth it. I don't know why I haven't much seen African leadership do that. Even the AES now, I haven't heard that from them. But is there any other thoughts on this, gentlemen?
Well, I think that until conditions improve on the continent, you're going to see more of this happen. I think that a lot of people are struggling, and this seems to be a way out. As silly as we see it, the things are going to have to improve on the continent itself, I think.
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely, 100%. Black Steel. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Africans on the continent need to strategize around that improvement, which will involve a lot of us who are out here, who have at least the know-how to do certain things. or at least have the ability to learn how to get the solutions that's needed out there. So, we're looking at you now, continent. Let's move on to Shoot the Breeze topic number 2, man. Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 is an interesting one. I posted this in the general chat on the Discord. If you haven't joined the Discord, click the link in the description of this episode and join. This was interesting. Shoot the Breeze topic number 2 says, FBA, hashtag FBA, gets white approval. This comes with 2 links. Let me tee up the first one, make sure you guys can see it. Yes, the first one involves one Tucker Carlson. If you've seen this video, drop a 1 for me in the chat. Let me know that you've seen it. Drop a 2 if you've seen it on the Discord.
You're racist for that?
They did. Which is actually quite interesting because I got a call from the Foundational Black American Society here in Florida who reminded me that Byron's mother is Jamaican, he is Panamanian, and they found it quite insulting, in their words, that he would try to claim victimhood of slavery, not a single descendant of American slaves in his family.
I like those foundational guys.
They're so good.
Tariq Nasheed and all. I mean, I don't agree with everything, but they've got a perspective. If your family's been here 400 years, and the descendants of a lot of American slaves or families have been here 400 years, I don't know. I think that gives. I'll listen to you. Like you've 100%. You've got a point of view that is legitimate, I think.
Yeah. And they're unequivocally heritage Americans.
That's for sure.
100%.
They're definitely heritage Americans, if anyone is. And, someone rolls in from Ghana and gets an MSNBC slot and starts speaking on behalf of black people. It's like, shut up, honey. You've got nothing to do with this.
Right.
That's
Literally.
a fair perspective,
right.
I think.
And so it's good to actually see them call them out for that. That's actually cultural appropriation. Appropriating the struggle of slavery.
I totally agree.
And the struggle of slavery was real. I don't think Republicans ever want to really whitewash that. It's real, right? But for
we're
Byron,
against slavery.
We're against it.
Whether it's in the, West Bank or here or anywhere.
Or anywhere.
Yeah, against it.
And so for Byron's group, his team, to call me and essentially our entire supporting base racists for saying that you're a slave when quite literally you took $45 million. You won't tell us what you agreed to take that money this early in a primary, which is unprecedented. You know this, how unprecedented that kind of money is in an uncontested primary until now. But secondarily, to actually go out and try to gaslight us and think that you're just one of those guys that has been here, since the early 1800s and your family was in the struggle too. You're not. And it's a very interesting term that the Foundational Black Americans use. It's called tether. They're tethering these tethers like Byron Donalds. They come here literally 1 generation in, and they try to just sit around and act so folksy that we're all part of the same struggle and we're all down on and we need to fight against. No, you just got here, dude. Like the Haitians, like the guys from Ghana who just got here, you don't get to just be a part of our system and then lecture us about how our country went wrong.
And they called you a racist for that?
They did. Which is actually quite interesting because I got a call from the Foundational Black American Society here in Florida.
Very interesting. When I saw this, I saw it after last week's episode of Shoot the Breeze. And when I saw it, I saw actual black folks, FBA, saying things like, hell yeah, I support this white man. And I'm proud to do it. I saw that last week. I was trying to find it today and I couldn't in the time that I had. But this is insane. And FBA types are loving it. They are loving it. Now, I saw Professor Black Truth or whatever. Yeah, I think that's his name. I saw him try to switch it around. I saw that this evening. He tried to switch it around and make it seem like, no, we don't trust Tucker Carlson, but we know that you tethers are going to hate it, so we're going along with it, which is just complete nonsense. By the way, this guy who Tucker Carlson is talking to, he's an immigrant, by the way. With that said, man, let me welcome in Kofi. I know once I said hashtag FBA, Kofi was going to show up. Kofi, how are you this week?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Yeah, you heard the dog whistle. I was listening the whole time. I'm just taking some
Kofi,
time
you're
out right
muted.
now. Yeah, I'm speaking. You hear me? I'm muted?
No, I can hear you just fine.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you. No, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I'm gonna try to get it in because I got two things going on right now. I'm glad you picked me first, but peace to the panel, peace to you, Koku. Yeah, I saw this and it is basically it's sad. So when you have these guys that say no, it's about lineage, our delineation is pretty much about us trying to be our own different types of black people. We're not just one, you know, big black Negro or whatever. There's different types of black people. We want to do that. It's not about us hating on the diaspora. It's not us hating the Caribbean. It's not about us hating the Africans. It's us being about us. But here they are again, and they're supposed to be so-called independent. They don't care about any party as long as they get reparations. Remember, the goal is reparations. But here they are, like you said, Koku, cheering this on. Tucker Carlson, which is a Vietnamese racist person on the right. Now it's not about partisanship, right? And again, they say, oh, a tether is someone who wants to undermine you. So they say Byron Donald is undermining them. Now, these two assholes, they're this is the dynamic. Now, Fishback wants to get Byron Donald's position in Florida. They're in the same party. Byron Donald, by a long shot, is not a Democrat. He's not a liberal in the sense. He's your typical black Republican shucking and jiving, carrying water for white racists by any means necessary with his white wife. His makeup is my wife's makeup, Jamaican Panamanian, right? So when he's trying to say that, well, he has no history ties. So the thing that Byron Donald says, even when I go on other shows that I go on, you know, you got these Negroes, they want to defend that. When Byron Donald says, hey, during Jim Crow, the black family were together. And you got the quote unquote people that are independent, Negroes that say they're independent. They say, well, I don't see what that means. He's not saying Jim Crow is good. So why would you mention during the time of Jim Crow? You're trying to, you're signaling, right? You're dog whistling the right to your racist base that, you know, before black people had rights, it was good. But I'm only mentioning that to say is that if we do a little bit of history, these FBA goons think that black people only came here during the civil rights era. So Garvey wasn't here and there weren't any Jamaicans here at all. What I find what Byron Donald says is racist, but by Fishback or Fish Ass is saying, is talking, he sounds just like a FBA. Saying, well, he just got here, he has no ties here. I don't know how far back Byron Donald's family goes back to the Americas. Could have been at the beginning of the 19th century. I have family here that came here in the 40s. You know, in the 40s, my great grandmother that I knew was here before most of my family that was here. So they were here. So you have people that goes way back, but they're trying to say this is a flex. Like this, they've made it. They finally made it. Here we have someone mentioning our cult group online into the limelight now. And it's by racists, but who cares? That's why I'm saying before this, FBA is dead on arrival. It stands to me, this foundational black Anglo-Saxons, because they want nothing to do with black people, but they have no problem with this Fishback person, which is Cuban. He's first generation immigrant. He is also a tether. I think one of his parents is white because Fishback is not a Latino name, right? So same thing with Tucker. Tucker Carlson, he's kind of old money, right? But it's sad to see what we're saying, what I was saying, especially is coming to fruition, just because I'm saying you're a hate group. So anyone that coincide with your hate, you're gonna back them. And the fact that they're with one of the most notorious, the most notorious racist party to this day to do that is crazy. And I land my plane right here. So they're so happy that they're being mentioned for the white man to pat them on the head to give them recognition. Fish ass is running for Byron Downs' position. Even though him and Tucker Carlson, they pom waving for them and stuff like that, these niggas don't understand they're being used as political props. All they care about is them dumping on Caribbeans. Now, he didn't say anything that he's gonna do anything for Black Americans. Not one thing. He didn't say he's gonna do anything for them. But it doesn't matter. They don't care. And that's the sad part. But I took up too much time. I gotta get back to something, but I will listen. I'm curious to hear what everybody else says. Thank you.
Appreciate that, Kofi. Yeah, no, good stuff. And by the way, when Kofi says, these Black folks, he doesn't mean all Black Americans. He's talking about the ones who, in this case, specifically identify as FBA. By the way, I forgot to mention this second attachment here. This was a tweet by Jempo, who says, be aware that the dude speaking across from Tucker is running on white genocide and the great replacement theory. He may be a wolf in sheep's clothing. Someone with an American flag comes along and says, even a broke clock is right twice a day. The guy comes back, Jempo, and says, right, but we can't be blindsided by the grift. So, again, it's not all Black Americans, but it's definitely those who identify as FBA are really, really hyped that they've been recognized by these white guys. By the way, too, Tariq Nasheed has a history with Tucker Carlson. Tucker clowned him. I should have pulled that video, too. Tucker clowned him on his show a couple of years ago. So keep that in mind. Oh, and by the way, when Tucker says I agree with not everything, but a lot of the FBA stuff, you want to bet that the thing that he doesn't agree with is reparations. Let me hear from Black Steel on this next. Black Steel, what say?
Well. I saw this video. I commented on the Discord. If your enemy is co-signing what you do, you got a big problem, right? When you got racists out here like Tucker Carlson co-signing your movement, yeah, you got an issue here. You definitely got an issue in this scenario, right? So I've always said I don't even like to say their name. I don't even like to conjure them up. These foundational Americans, and they so love to be called, right? Because it's a very active online movement, right? They're like Beyonce fans, or they whenever you say something bad about them, they pop up out of nowhere. But I've always disliked this whole thing because, first of all, Tariq Nasheed, who is Tariq Nasheed, right? Why are we giving Tariq Nasheed any type of relevance in our community? Who is this guy, right? He's a former pimp, he made some self-help books, he's just flip-flops. Who is he? I heard about all this stuff. His hidden history museum got turned into a nightclub, then it got shut down. I don't know all the details about it, but just this whole FBA ADOS thing just bothers me. Oh, and they're a very small but very vocal minority, because you gotta read the room, right? We're in a renaissance of white supremacy in this country, especially the United States, right? We're in a renaissance of white supremacy. You got the president of the United States coming online and saying that the civil rights movement hurt white people. So the fact that you coming after Black people from other countries, like the statement about, oh, he has no experience with slavery. Like as if slavery wasn't on Jamaica, right? As if the slavery in the Caribbean was so harsh that slaves in America were afraid to go there. Like if you were a slave who misbehaved, they would send you to Barbados. You know, this as if they don't have an experience of slavery by the English, right? So the Great Britain brought slaves over to the Americas, right? So slavery in Jamaica was started by Great Britain, just like slavery in America was started by Great Britain. What do you mean they don't have the experience of slavery? I don't understand what he means. As if American slavery, as it existed in the continents of the United States, was just so alien to every other form of slavery. It's a ridiculous statement, right? But that's why most people don't really rock with these clowns, right? Now, you know, they're worried about survival. First, they're talking about reparations, which you definitely ain't finna get reparations under the Trump administration. So I don't. So now they've changed their messaging, right? Now it's about survival, but they still have more smoke, more hatred for another black person from another country whose ancestors got off the boat a little bit further from your ancestors. It's and really it's meant to be counterintelligence, right? The the fear of black people organizing and uniting with other Africans across the world has always been a major threat to U.S. hegemony, right? So they've often done many things to dissuade black people and Africans or black people in the Caribbean from linking up. That was a big problem. It's always been a big problem. So the fact that they're going so hard at other black people, they got a name for them. But I don't know if you saw Corey Holcomb talking to Anton Daniels. They never have smoke for these white people. They always want to go after other Africans. So at this point, I can only deduce they are anti-African, anti-black hate group, much as what Kofi said. So that's just my thoughts. And the fact that they're applauding this just further confirms that in my mind. They're an anti-black hate group. I'll yield the mic. Thank you.
Can I also mention also that that they're so right wing. All the talking points that the Republican Party makes, just like MAGA, they'll ignore it because what MAGA's main goal is for Donald Trump, which is also an anchor baby, is to have a white ethno state, is to make sure that white people get a leg up. Like JD Vance says, he says no longer anymore in America where you have to apologize for being white. You know, so they have the same ideology, just when it comes to, again, like Koku said, I'm not talking about all black Americans, of course not. This is a subset of low intellectual, emotional people that is a very loud minority, right? So they have the same ideology. Oh, you're undermining us because if it wasn't for us, you wouldn't be here. If you leave and we get rid of you, then there'll be more opportunities for us because you look like us. The white man's gonna pass you up and forget us. We were already here, right? So they still have this instead of a white replacement theory, they have what would you call it? Indigenous black replacement theory. And I would say to them the same thing I would say to a white person that's saying that Mexicans and Asians are taking their jobs. Who are giving them those jobs? Those white people. It's not a Mexican or a Haitian or a Jamaican that got these jobs and giving it to minorities. It's white people that wants cheap labor because the average American is not going to work for that amount. So this is a capitalist society. So the thing is, for capitalists, is to maximize profit. So I can maximize my profit by giving someone to do the same job, if not better, to give me the same work, give me the same output. That's capitalism. You guys rant and rave about capitalism all the time. But I just also want to mention that, and it all doesn't make sense to you. They have the same ideology as a MAGA Republican.
Appreciate that, Kofi. Let's welcome in our brother, Real Black Gentleman, this week. Real Black Gentleman, how are you?
I'm good. I'm about to play a little devil's advocate here. I know you guys don't have a strong, like for the FBA. I being within the sense of it, you know what I'm saying? I get it. Look, I'm just gonna make a couple just quick points. Black people, as in America, as we've been in this country, separated from Africa, mind you. You know what I'm saying? Which is the first thing. Naturally, we've been separated, and the ocean is not a small barrier, right? If it were easy to go back to Africa, we would have depopulated ourselves from this country already. You know what I'm saying? The fact that Africans are still in America for 400 years means there's a couple reasons why that's the case. One, you know, trying to make the best out of the land while we're here. It's different. And it's hard to get people just to like give up this land. You know what I'm saying? As Black people, as a Black American, I don't want to necessarily feel like I have to be compelled to leave and go back to Africa. If I see myself as instead of an enslaved, kidnapped person, you know, but I find myself in a colonial sense of Africa, how would that be, you know, seen as a negative? You know what I'm saying? I know that Black people here in this country have fallen into traps of North and South, East and West, you know, straight. I don't want to say straight because that's not what I'm trying to say, but like street and book. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot of that in this country. As I see, Black people will play a dichotomy game of us and them, even within ourselves in this country. I see it and I know it. Anything I think that would cut away from that, even if it's just an online thing, I think it's plus. I will say that there's a lot of like bottish activity that is clinging on to the online efforts of Black people in the FBA thing. I'm gonna say that there's a lot of bots that don't like Black unity in any sense. You know what I'm saying? Even in America, within African nations, they love to see a civil war in the African nations, right? Okay, having said that, then there's a lot of that. And so as much as I know a lot of that, and a lot of what we see online, the commentary, hey, I'll say it, you know what I'm saying? You can't trust the commentary. You got to make sure that has to be like triple authenticated, you know what I'm saying? Because like a person on their video can say something, then you'll have 1,000 comments that are personifying, you know, situations and casting aspersions on people. So I will say that, because I think that's overlooked. You know, you can't go everything off of, you know, words and text. You do have to have more context to it. I do know that you know, Tariq, you know, he does go from one thing to another. I mean, that's his thing. He's a bit of an entertainer. He's trying to like get as many people eyeballs on him as possible. I get it. But as far as like the idea that if we could, if Black people do kind of start over and just calling it what you will, I mean, the label foundational, I mean, you can say a lot of things. I mean, people, it's catchy. It's getting people. I will say that as long as, you know, there's a lot of roasting going on. I think the roasting, again, you know, that's an African tradition. We roast each other. You know what I'm saying? Written in the ancient Mali Constitution now, in law, that we're going to roast each other. I think that when we talk about the roasts, again, it's people talking, it's souls talking, and then it's computations that are approximate what they will want you to think about a person. I'm going to say that. I know it's some nonsense with FBA. I know that some people do take it too far. But if we're going to be a nation within a nation, as Black people in this country, it does behoove us to have some sense of like a pride about what it is that we're here, because Lord knows, if we could just walk across the bridge to Africa, we would have depopulated this place already. And then probably just to have the means to go right back. But that ocean's a very, 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 very big river. And because, you know, just knowing it's just pride and effort in what people do, even though it's, you know, under the shadow of white people. Black people invented this country. I'm sorry, but we did to this exceptional degree. And I know that, you know, people do things in a lot of places. I mean, a lot of inventions have come here, probably from Black people and other countries. We've done so much here. That's why I say, got to be the devil's advocate. I know, but I'm trying to figure out who's doing the hating and why. And I don't see, I'm not convinced it's us doing some of the extra stuff on the internet. I don't think it's Black Americans. Some, you know, we roast Black people, do some stuff, but I find Tariq has a touch more balance than people give him credit for. Even though I don't give him that much credence, because he's just trying to be entertainer. Even if he's trying to, you know, bring up history and try to put a little spin on it, you know, it is what it is. I'm not gonna, you know, cry. You know, people have given him $1,000. I haven't given Tariq a dime. I've given them $0 and 0 cents. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be so, and he knows it's not about him. He said it many times. That's the whole point. If something happens to Tariq and, you know what I'm saying, he moves to another country or another place or whatever, FBA is not going to necessarily just go away. He's saying that he says that a lot on purpose. It's not about a leader. It's a lineage. It's an idea that, you know what I'm saying, and what that it's a sense of rooting ourselves in a place in time, and that's not to exclude Africa. It's just the nature of the ocean being a huge barrier, and you know what I'm saying. Lord knows if we could pack up our households wholesale, we would do so. I've said that 3 times. I'm gonna pass the mic.
Can I respond to that? I would really love to respond to that.
No, you're gonna have to wait, Kofi. You're gonna have to wait. I've been waiting a long time.
All right, bro.
I just want to say to RBG, you can be the devil's advocate anytime you want to be. And I really do mean that, because this is not intended to be an echo chamber. Sometimes I want to hear a different thought. Even an opposing one. The only thing I ask is that they don't be anti-Black, anti-African, anti-Pan-African. But if it's a differing opinion, I respect that, and I like a lot of the things that you said. You made points about it could be our enemy playing it up as well. That's true, and we have to be mindful of it. Both sides or all sides have to be mindful. So I do appreciate that. Let's go to Brother Bakari, and then I'll hit Kofi quick, and then we'll introduce our most recent panelists. Brother Bakari, what say you?
First I want to say, I'm talking about everybody that just called themselves a Black American, erasing Africa out their name. I'm talking about all of them. I'm not going to sit here and say, well, it's not all of them. It's all of them. It's all of them. It's all of them that only want to be a Black American. They're all the same to me. I'm a Black American. They're all the same to me. But it was something that Black Steel had said, and I ain't write it down. But as he was talking, it just showed that Black Steel had the ability to think. When he said about, if those white people are co-signing you, that's a problem. That just shows he has the ability to think. But these other people, they're so happy, their thinking is they want to be white adjacent. White adjacent. They know they can't be white. They want to be white adjacent. So when they're talking about Byron Donalds, and they say, well, he have no history here of slavery in America. I don't know what he had, in all honesty. And neither do they. Do we know how many Africans they brought from the Caribbean to here? And so I don't know if any of his ancestors came here and was enslaved here. And neither do they. But it sounds good, though. His mama is Jamaican, his daddy Jamaican, his mama Panamanian. Right? It sounds good for them. So as for me, I would never talk about, well, you know, this is ours. We've been there 400 years. If it's yours, stop complaining about it. If it's yours, take it. If it's yours, do something about it. If it's yours, be smart enough to build up some numbers so you can do something about it. I'm not gonna ever, and I understand RBG say he playing the devil's advocate. I ain't gonna play the devil's advocate. I'm just gonna be who I am. So if it's theirs and they have such a connection to being at the bottom, because that's what they're doing, it's plantation fighting. It's plantation fighting. Which one is better? Which slave owner was the best? And these slave owners over here, they treated us good. Like, I know where I'm from. I was born and raised in Mississippi, but I also know where my ancestors from. I can also tell you, I know my great grandmama was born in a slavery here in Mobile, Alabama in 1853. I can also tell you her mama was born on the continent of Africa. So for me to just say, oh, I'm just this American because I know we have been here so long. For me, I can't go that route. And then when you hear a white boy call them heritage American, the definition of heritage, the first one, property that is or may be inherited, and inheritance. So what are they doing? They have inherited their FBA, their Black Americans, to try to side with people who you truly don't have the same number of nothing that they have. You truly don't have the money that they have. That's why I've heard some of these people talk about the founding fathers. Like, not my founding fathers. They're not my founding fathers. FBA say they are lineage. I know people pronounce it lineage. I say lineage because that's how I spell. It's just for the hell of it. They say they're about lineage, but now they're happy to be called by some white boy, some white boy that hate black folks. They're happy to be called a heritage American, which is absolutely insane to me. But when you're fighting to be next to white people, because when they talk about other black people, you can hear the white arrogance exuding from them. When you hear them talk about other black people, you can hear their arrogance, their white arrogance, to show they are better than other black people. Similar to like people from up north and down south used to have a beef. They might still have it. People from up north thought they was better than people from down south. Well, y'all go through this down south, y'all go through that down south. It ain't like that up here. Yeah, it was just a little different. They taught y'all to kill yourselves, put you in projects. Y'all became the the human rat project, right? But it's the same type of beef. It's the same type of disdain, dislike that we have for one another. So these people that call themselves FBA, they dislike black people from other places, and they can have that. So these people that just only a black American, they can have that. I just understand what side I'm on, and I understand what side they're on. And I know me and those people, we are not on the same side just because they look like me. And it's just that simple. On that, I yield the mic.
Appreciate that, Brother Bakari. Let me go back to Kofi. Kofi wanted to respond to RBG. RBG, I realized from the chat there's a certain part of this you didn't touch on. I'm going to come back to you for that. But let's hear from Kofi. Before we hear from Kofi, though, I can't pronounce the username, but AK in the chat says FBA equals FBI / Cointel 2.0. Tariq's a paid actor. Grow up. Then he or she follows it up with, we African Americans, get over it, morons. Shaking my head. So I'm curious, who's that directed to exactly? Because it reads like it's directed to the panel, but none of the panelists are really going along with the FBA stuff. So I'm just curious, who's all that for? Also for FBAs who might be viewing the video themselves. With that said, Kofi, what say you?
Also, I forgot also to mention that Tariq does know Tucker. Tucker does not know Tariq. Just Googling Tucker Carlson interviews Tariq Nasheed. They at least interviewed each other 2 times. So Tucker Carlson's not talking about Tariq in abstract, like, yeah, that guy that you just told me about, Fishback or whatever. Tucker Carlson knows who Tariq Nasheed is. So I just want to say that. I love devil's advocate. I love playing devil's advocate. And I say this with the utmost respect to the brother that played devil's advocate. It's obvious from what I'm getting from you is that you're not very acquainted with this FBA movement at all. And a lot of things you touched on, you weren't really quite sure. A lot of things you said, it just tells me you don't know what's going on. So first thing I'm going to say before I get into the FBA stuff, you said there's a big, huge ocean apart from us, and we just can't pack up our stuff and did that. That has been done in history. There's this place in Africa called Liberia, right? They have people going there, place called Liberia. There are African Americans in Liberia. During the Great Migration, you had African Americans going all the way as north as Canada, all the way south as Florida, and further. So when Black people want to move somewhere, we can move. We don't let no ocean, swamp, forest, or anything keep us in the way, right? But I do understand what you mean by saying, hey, it's not as accessible. So that's 1. 2, it's not a lineage. It has nothing about lineage. You're kind of giving grace to Tariq Nasheed and the people saying that is bots. I have followed this thing. I used to follow Tariq Nasheed, and when he was either pretending or was a Pan-Africanist. You have to understand, FBA is a child of ADOS. ADOS was started by Yvette Carnell. Yvette Carnell was on a board with a man named John Tanton. John Tanton was a right-wing white supremacist that was trying to stop Black and brown immigration from coming into America, aka that's what the Republicans are. They want a white ethno state. Yvette Carnell, all the talking points you hear about Tariq Nasheed, it is not roasting, brother. Roasting is like, I grew up here in New York. Koku, you know how New Yorkers are. There's all different types of Black people. I grew up, I had Black American friends, I had Haitian friends, I had Jamaican friends, I had Guyanese friends. We all will crack on each other. What Tariq Nasheed is doing is racist. The same thing white people used to say to disparage Black Americans, like calling you monkey, calling you live in a hut, doing all this other stuff. Brother, that's not roasting. That is racism. And it's coming from Black people. People say, well, that's xenophobia. Nah, you're doing a white man's playbook. That is racism. So back to what I was saying. Yvette Carnell had the same talking points with Tariq Nasheed, saying they're not like us. Pointing to Kendrick Lamar. They're different. They're this. They're here to undermine us. They're great. They're going to replace us. Tariq Nasheed is just a little bit more charismatic, has a bigger audience. He did the same thing, but better. FBA is nothing but a white supremacist psyop think tank. And what it does, it plays on simple-minded people or people who do not understand what it is. What he is basically doing, Black people in America has a legitimate gripe against the United States government. All Tariq Nasheed just take that fact that's known across the board, that surpasses color, gender, and class, takes that pain and tells you that the reason why that you not getting what you get. Let's ignore the white man with all those cookies. That immigrant with the one cookie, with the one cookie you want to get your 6 cookies. He's getting crumbs. That's what it's all about, and it devolves into what it is right now with the whole Tucker Carlson thing right now. I know people specifically on my Facebook channel. Look, FBA has been going around for like a couple of years. On my Facebook, I have a group in my Facebook. I have on my channel. People legit, you see their faces. Most of them on covers don't even show their faces. But these are people that show their faces and they actually believe that it has to do with lineage. It has nothing to do with lineage because, as we know, there was a triangle, there was a slave trade within the Americas. So when they say, well, we're 100% Black American, what is that? That makes no sense. So I'm just saying that to say, I think you need to do a little bit more digging. I'm going to plug my channel, even go to my channel, and you'll see the hypocrisy that they have. And he said it's not a leader. Tariq said it's not a leader because he doesn't want any accountability. Everything they're saying, you're right, there are bots. Whatever Tariq Nasheed says, his followers say the same thing. Tariq Nasheed has been caught, like he's trying to say that I'm not as black as other as a Black American. This dude has a white woman living in his house. His mother-in-law is a white Jewish woman, and he doesn't even like Black women. In his Mac lessons, he says, if you're going to get a Black woman, make sure she's mixed and make sure that the mother is white, because you want that mother to put all the, how she raised, instill in her. He want it's bad enough you want a mixed woman, right? But he don't want her mother to be Black. The mother has to be white. And Tariq Nasheed fulfilled that. He has a white mother-in-law and a mixed kid. But me, with my Black Jamaican wife and my Black ass self, I'm not as Black as that. But brother, I just want to say you need to do a little bit more research.
All right, quick rebuttal. Just quick, like just a not to rebut. I'm not even trying to like reject what you said. Okay. I was watching a lot of this ADOS transition to FBA thing. I actually watched when that shit happened. I was keen on that. Okay, I actually watched Yvette Cornell. I was listening to Tone Talks. I was watching that, and I saw that transition. I saw when things started to trip up. When but like I said, I'm just gonna be quick. I know about the PSYOP. I know about the foundations. I know all that. What I think though is that in light of all that, it's important. Before we got into the one point I want to make, and I'm gonna drop. Before it really did get into the xenophobia came in, it legitimately was about the freedmen, the whole knowing the identity, the censusing, the figuring out the roots and figuring out the realization that, because again, a lot of these white people came into this country after Black people. I know Tariq. I get all that about his people. I get that. I know he's conflicted. I get that. I do. I do think that there's a kernel of truth in the whole thing. I'm talking to people who are not Americans. Look. I talk about Africa all the. I wish I could. Bruh. I do know that a sense of the, when you talk about that migration, the scattering of Black people, this has to be just a little bit more like, where do we come from and how do we get here? It's kind of a moment. That's just me. I don't like ride with FBA all like that. I recognize it. I know it's a lot of bullshit in there too. I do. I just, you know what I'm saying, take the chaff and separate that shit from the wheat. Because I know even in Tariq's conflicted heart, he got a love for Black people for what it's worth. Even though obviously he says all this stuff, I'm just saying. Now, you can call it spiritual if you want. I don't go out here and use FBA as an excuse to attack immigrants or people who are in this country who have descendantry from another land. Because Lord knows my land, you know what I'm saying? My people have a descendantry from another land. Obviously, I'm probably like 85-90% African. You know what I'm saying? It's all because it just happens. I would love to know that was 100%. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just the whole being here and living and scrapping it out. Call it politicking or what have you. You know what I'm saying? They ain't overrun the hood quite yet. They don't do that shit too easily. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying, like, for anything that can at least get Black people in this country, you know, as long as Black people are not attacking heavily, when that comes, it is what it is. Look. And I'm not saying it should ever get to that point. We got to talk this shit out, make sense out everything. Because again, I as living where I am, customs, passport, I just can't go to Zimbabwe and just, the reciprocity, it truly is different when you come from any other country to any other country. Until there's a true political pan-Africanness, I'm telling you, like, African nations are locked in an African nation state, and they are not trying to work with each other because men are men. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna pass the mic.
Hey, can I respond to some of that? Can I say something right quick? I ain't gonna be here long because I got to get out. See, and I know Koku say he don't like her. What is it called? People just saying the same thing, right? Everybody agreeing. I don't think you can't build nothing. You can't build nothing when people not agreeing. RBG has drunk the Kool-Aid, right? And this is me. I ain't telling nobody to feel like me. I hear RBG. I understand he ain't on my team. I understand he's on Team Tariq. I understand he's on Team FBA. I understand he told me it's a lineage, and he said a whole lot of stuff trying to give them grace. That don't mean I dislike him. I just understand that those people are not on my team. And that's okay. Everybody had a team that they gonna be on. And that is okay. I have a nephew the same way. He'll tell you. No, my uncle, man, he ain't feeling that. We ain't on the same team. We're not on the same team. We gotta think about this. They are following a high school dropout. No, nothing political about him. He have no connections in politics, but that's what these people are choosing to follow, saying, yeah, he gonna get them. And watch this. When was the last time you heard them talk about reparations? Only thing they just talk about is other black people. That's it. So if it's their country, like they'll say, the indigenous or whoever the hell they want to be, because the ocean is too wide for you to even to understand where you come from. The ocean, we can say the ocean is too wide to go if that's what you want to say. But I always talk about this guy. I just call him the Prince of Slaves because I can't never remember his name. But you can see what else people from Natchez, Mississippi, and Liberia go.
Equiano.
No, not Equiano. That's not him. I'm talking the Prince of Slaves, a guy that was enslaved in Mississippi. He was a Muslim guy. But you can see people from Natchez, Mississippi, and going to Liberia back and forth all the damn time for family reunions and every damn thing. Cross that wide ass ocean. They going, they visited, and they doing that to this day. But he has drunk the Kool-Aid, and that is okay. Maybe he like it. But FBA and ADOS, they are a hate group for black people. That's what they are. They get on the you watch this. Do you ever hear them talk about the Russian immigrants? Do you ever hear them talk about the Irish immigrants? Do you ever hear them talk about the British immigrants? And if you get on, and I know when people ride by construction sites, you see a lot of Mexicans. But go to those construction sites, and I'm here in Atlanta. Go look and see how many Russians and British and Irish and Scottish immigrants you see. These people never say anything about the European immigrants because they just like Donald Trump. They want the good immigrants from Norway and Sweden and Denmark and places like that to come here. They don't want them from these shithole countries. So when I can't be on the side with nobody who they clearly show disdain for African people, from black people from other places. My grandson is Haitian on his mama's side. My kids is Trini. My two youngest kids, they Trini on their mama's side. So I can't be on the side of nobody. But that ain't the only reason. I'm just saying how I don't see a difference in African blood people. You know, you come here, we cool until you show me that you're not cool. Until you show me that we shouldn't be on the same side. Like the FBA code, they have showed me that we ain't on the same side. You're the mic.
Let's hear from Sister Cheryl. Sister Cheryl, how are you this week?
Yeah, I'm good. How y'all doing?
Good, good, good. Sister Cheryl, I know you've heard a lot and seen a few comments from the chat. So there's a lot for you to respond to. So take your time. Tell us your thoughts on this.
So the prompt was about like white people bringing up FBA or it being a part of their mainstream news now.
FBA was co-signed by white people.
Yeah. And I think that kind of lit a fire under the FBA's behind. And for people who don't know, I'm African American. So it's just like, I think like I agree with the majority of what people are saying about the FBI. FBI. Sorry, see, slip of the tongue. FBA, but hey, they might be involved with the FBI. You never know. Uh, I do pretty much agree with what the majority of people are saying, and I can also see the one guy. I'm not sure his name, but he said something about taking it a little easy on Tariq. But it's so much that was said. I want to start with the Tucker Carlson thing. Bringing up FBA. I know that kind of stoked some fires under the FBA's behind, but the reason white people don't bring attention to Black issues unless they feel comfortable doing so. So if they feel comfortable, then that must mean that they don't feel threatened, and they don't feel threatened by you, then that's why they can co-sign it. And then Tucker Carlson was just like, um, maybe Black people in America, yeah, they do have a point. They have been here longer, and they do have more rights to the land, so they do have a point. And the whole time he was saying it, he was laughing and chuckling. And I don't think most people caught that are for this whole thing. But that's a very strong indicator that not only does he not feel threatened, it's a means of, they brought it up because they know it's going to further the division even more. If you bring in something like that to mainstream media and you got people that's on the fence about what they believe, that's pretty much for people who are not like really paying attention to what's being said and how it's being said. That's pretty much solidifying that they should do the FBA thing. And so body language is important. They're white people's little gestures. Like I swear to God, like maybe I don't, but I feel like I got white people down to a science when it comes to their little movements and the things they be saying. It's they say a lot without saying it. Like, and a lot of people don't pick it up. So I just feel like I know white people. Like I know how they get down. I know how they think. So with that said, was it something else I wanted to bring up? Oh, Black people calling themselves. I think some people that join the FBA thing, they are seriously trying to find something to cling on to that's not white. But in that process, they kind of lose themselves with people like Tariq. Yeah, Tariq is very influential, but you got other people out there too. But Tariq is the most influential. But he does things that are very condescending to African people, and sometimes I find myself watching him, but it's not for the reasons people think. Like I watch him to pay attention to the things that he says and how he says them. And yes, he does sound a lot like white people making fun of and critiquing African people. He does sound a lot like that. While he may make some sense, his analysis of white people sometimes is good, but in that same vein, he's like he sounds like a white person. So I think that's one of the things that would confuse somebody who is not decided on where they stand. And so what I think you have is a lot of confused people. And I'm a very patient person. And I have to be patient because I was never into the FBA thing, but I was confused at one point. And so I try to have an understanding of both sides, but that doesn't mean I agree with the FBA thing. I think it totally is a tool that that those people use. Totally, it's definitely a tool without question. Um, but I think when you throw in a little of something that makes sense, and that's what Tariq is good at. He's really good at saying, okay, these are the things white people say, and this is what you got to look out for. The red flags you got to look out for white people that say this, and when they say this, this is what they're actually saying. So in terms of that, okay, I give it to them, whatever. But in the long run, FBA is still tribalism, right? And it's tribalism based on. It's not tribalism based on politics or anything. It's tribalism based on specifically where you come from, and I think that's very dangerous because they have things like that on the continent. That's not the reason, but it's part of the reason why you see so much disorganization on the continent. And it's just the same thing. It's the same thing here. You even have Black people who move to places like the UK, France, Italy, and forget the Black. They don't even use the Black. They just say, I'm Italian. I'm French. My husband and I were out. We were out with I was out with my in-laws when they came down to visit us, and we sat at a table, restaurant, and we saw these two women sat next to us, and we just making conversation, and they're like, "Oh, where are you from?" I mean, she's blacker than night. She like, "We from France." I said, "Okay." I was just, I didn't, it was new people. I didn't want to say anything or anything like that. I'm just like, okay, okay. It's just like one of those things. It just kind of, for me, it catches me off guard. My husband is more used to dealing with that, but for me, hearing a Black person say, "I'm French," that's crazy. Like a lot of people from the UK, sometimes they'll be like, "Okay, I'm Black. I'm Black Brit." At least they put the Black in front of it. I gotta give. Sometimes I gotta, because everyone's confused on a different level. So I give people some passes on stuff. So at least they put the Black in front of it. Some Black people don't even consider themselves, or they don't want to be reminded that they are from the continent. So you have different levels of this stuff. FBA is just another level. Is just another level of it, but it's definitely everywhere. Some people, oh, I'm British. Oh, I'm Italian. Like, that's crazy. She didn't even look. This girl that was in the restaurant, she didn't even tell us. She didn't even say, "Oh, I'm from France." She didn't even say, "I'm from France." She didn't even say what her background is. She just was sedity, like, and she was just like, "I'm French," and that's what we're dealing with FBA. And it's just another form of tribalism, y'all. It's just it's really it's not that deep. White people brought it up because they feel comfortable talking about it because it doesn't affect them. They can say, a white person can get on the news and say, "Oh, Black people definitely have more rights to the land than a Black person that just came over." A Black person that just came over can't tell a Black American what they should be doing and blah 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 blah. First of all, they saying you have more rights to the land, but are they going to give you those rights? And even if they gave you those rights, why would you want to accept that from them? You see what I'm saying? We don't think that far. We just think, "Oh, they brought us up. We must be important." Like, we just get silly. So yeah, that's all I'll say.
I appreciate that. I want to throw it over to Real Black Gentleman last because I think he's getting some darts thrown at him a little bit while he's playing devil's advocate. I kind of feel, I actually understand where RBG is coming from, but let me just check in with Black Steel. Black Steel, do you want to add anything? Because I haven't heard from you in a while.
Well, my mind's pretty much been made up. Like you said, I understand Perspectives might be one hurt, but I mean, I've heard what they said about African people. I've heard them call, the names they call other African people, and I've seen them ignore white people. So I mean, FBA has always been a garbage ideology, like you said, and like Kobe mentioned. It comes out the Progressive for American. I'm sorry, Progressive for Immigration Reform is the name of the group. Yvette Carnell was a part of, and we know these people. We know their works. We know the evil they're capable of and the behavior they've been engaged in. Um, and to be fair, they're not. This isn't the first time organization like the so-called black people who want to cling to American identity. These people aren't the first ones to exist. They was doing this back in Garvey and Booker T. Washington and Du Bois days. So this is not anything new. Hell, I mean, there are black people who talking about clinging to America back in the 19th century at the end of slavery. So, I mean, this isn't anything new. It's gonna pass like a fart in the wind. Think about tokens. Tokens get spent, right? These black people who want to be all Yankee Doodle dandy, especially in these times. I'm sorry, man. It's ridiculous. America is showing every time they get a chance, they don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about what you're going on. There's a black family just attacked by ICE in Texas. Now, mind you, this is an African American family, a foundational Black American family. They threw a tear gas grenade in the goddamn car with a 6-month-old baby in it. So there's no America ain't gonna give you reparations because they don't want to, and you can't make them. And the only way you can make them is through Pan African organization solidarity. That's it.
Appreciate that, Black Steel. RBG, do you want to say any last words here?
Yeah, look, this avatar on your picture, this man sent with fucking what's his name? Oh my god, the Major. Oh my god, he did it. He did it. He sent back people to Liberia. It was a boat called the Bark Azar. I get it. And what happened to that boat? You know what I'm saying? The British took it. I know about Liberia. I know about all of this. I get it. It's not. If it were easy, we would already be doing it. I'm telling you. I mean, look, the airports we would be talking about how them airports were booked for weeks, just trying to get black people back to Africa. I'm telling you, it's not that easy. And since we're going to be African people here, black people here in America, since we've been here, since, you know what I'm saying, we didn't get flown out from Africa. We got drug on a boat, and them boats took months to get out here because them white folks didn't know how to sail. I get it. I get it. I wish the motherfucker would try to tell me I ain't as black as I fucking say I am, god damn it. But we here. And if you don't like how black people do it here, as someone representing black people here, I'm just saying. God, what's his name? He was a major, the goddamn captain, the goddamn, oh my God. Can't believe I can't remember his name. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna put it back in the goddamn chat. But I'm telling you, I get it. No, I get it. I get it. It's so easy to get black people back. The boat had, 274 people? I think it was like 60 odd of them people died on the way there. This is in 1870, what was this? No, in the 1870s. It was 1878. I'm trying to tell you, the boat was called the Bark Azor. I'm gonna spell it out. It's called the Bark Azor. I'm telling you, that's all I'm gonna say about this whole FBA thing, man. I get it. Since we here and since, you know what I'm saying, I get it. How motherfuckers like the Talented 10th, Du Bois, you know what I'm saying, Sabotage, he ain't kind of black, you know what I'm saying, fucking Booker T. Washington just trying to say, yo, you know what I'm saying, just pick it up by our goddamn where our bogus fall. You know what I'm saying? Garvey, Godson comes to America. Yo, let's get some business. Let's get these boats and try to go back home. Sabotage by the same. Let's go to school. I get it. Have me come out here confused. I'm done.
Oh, I just wanted to say something real quick, and then we can.
Yeah, go.
move. Um. So yeah, like I don't want people to like. It's just so hard because being black in America for as long as we've been here, it's definitely a unique experience compared to black people, um, like living in, uh, I don't know, Canada or somewhere where black people just pretty much just got there. Like, so I get that we feel a sense of like we cling to like the term black, like I'm not even talking about FBA, forget that. Like the term black American, because sometimes I think like I find this when I talk to people, black people who are not from the continent or who are from the continent, and they say, oh well, where are you from? And I say, oh I'm from Philly. And sometimes I catch myself and I'm like, I'm black American, because that's just what it is. I'm black and I'm in America, and that signifies that pretty much that we've been here. When a person says I'm black American, it just signifies that, we've been here for, a few centuries. And I think that kind of throws continental people off because they're just like, they're not taught that when they come over here. Like their children may be taught that, but the parents of the children, because they're first generation, they're not really they didn't get that history, they didn't get that lesson. So I think it's more of like a knee-jerk reaction for black Americans to say, I'm black American. Cambon has a different term, but it might take some time to get he says anti black anti-American black, or black anti-American. I like that. I like that. But I think we need to have a little bit more understanding, like given the fact that black people do have a very unique experience um being in America. It's not like we're not first generation, second, third, fourth. We're not even 10th generation. We're like more like 50th generation. 60, 70, 80th generations. You see what I'm saying? Like, so I think the reins are so tight, tighter for some than others when it comes to black people. Like I'll give you an example. So I lived in Houston for a while, and uh the first time I saw a black person like wearing a cowboy hat, and they have a whole like thing dedicated to this. Like they think they're the original cowboys, and they think they're I forget what the event is called. If somebody can uh sign off on that. But it's this event where they get together, and it's like they um they celebrate, I guess, I'm a cowboy, I'm a real American type of thing. And I think a lot of people are like blindsided by that. Even I was, because I'm not from the South at all. Like, I'm like what are these black people wearing cowboy hats and cowboy boots? I was like, whoa, I thought this was a white person thing. So it's like they don't do that to shut out Africa. I don't think they do that to shut out African people from the continent or from the Caribbean. I think we just kind of fell in that mix. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, if you in proximity to white people, you're gonna have some white tendencies. Like, I think that's just what it is. I mean, black people who are on the continent and Caribbean, they got white tendencies too, but it's different. It's different types. Like, so like I think we just need to be cognizant. Yes, some of the trigger happy, yeah, African anti-American. That's pretty awesome. If we could replace that, even for me as an African American, I'm searching for a term because I find myself always saying like, yeah, I'm from Philly, And people just be like, oh, okay. And for people that's really confused, they be like, you definitely, I thought you was Jamaican. I said, hey, maybe so. I mean, I'm not gonna argue with you, like, cause I'm just that way. But for the majority of our people, we gotta be really cognizant. Like everybody that says they're Black American, it doesn't mean that they're not on our side. Some people are just really confused. Some people want to figure out what we can really do, and some people don't. Some people just want to be a rhinestone cowboy, you know. Some people just like that. And but I think there's enough of us here in America where we can, you know, we can probably push the African anti-American thing if we want to. Um, but yeah, I'll just leave it there.
Also want to add real quick. Thank you for that. This is my Pan Africanist. Standing up for me. Standing up for my people right now. Yeah, they do. Yeah, the black people to be with the white boy rodeo and stuff like that is crazy. But let's do remember, the first cowboys were black people. Cattle rustling is a dangerous job. And we know white people are bitches and pussies. They ain't gonna do it themselves. They're gonna find a black person to do it, they're gonna do it. So the first cowboys were black because white people are lazy and they gotta get black people to do their own jobs. But I want to say, as far as the whole FBA thing, I'm not against the idea. Now, FBA in its intensive purposes, what its goal was, I have absolutely no problem because the Caribbean people, we have CARICOM, right? They have Black Americans. I mean, there is a reparations board or whatever that's already on in the works. If you don't like it, you want to start something new. Yes, do that. It's going too slow. HR 40 is going too slow. Okay, fine. Get another chapter, but get a politician. Be genuine in what your goal is. CARICOM didn't come together by throwing people from Texas, Black Americans, under the bus. Well, we're just trying to get our check, so we gotta talk bad about those Black Americans and them Yankee boys up there up north. No one does that. So I think NBA is going to be not them, but something similar with the same moniker for the same goal. I think is going to be very effective. But NBA was dead on arrival because what group? Let's say for some crazy reason you got a Republican that hears this, he's going to use black people as this as a way to get votes. It's not going to get passed because it's a hate group. It's a hate group. You're going to get Congress. You're going to get the Senate. You're going to get the Republican. All these people. You're going to get all three houses. They're going to pull up tweets. They're going to pull up on Twitter Spaces, and it's like, you want us to give this group that is vehemently racist towards Black and brown people. It's not going to happen. So I just wanted to mention that.
All right. Good discussion. I think we did a good job with that one, having a kind of, well-rounded set of opinions. So I'm very happy with that discussion. Let's go to Shooter Breeze topic number 3 for time's sake. We're going to end around 11 p.m. Shooter Breeze topic number 3 says another cultural theft from Africa. Another cultural theft from Africa. This comes with 2 attachments. First one's going to take us to what is that? It's going to take us to YouTube. Make sure you guys can see my screen. There you go. So another cultural theft from Africa, the Jenga story. I thought this was interesting. Let's take a look.
You've played it, carefully pulling wooden blocks from a wobbling tower, praying it doesn't fall. It's called Jenga, Swahili for to build. But here's what the box doesn't tell you. Jenga isn't a Western invention. It's an African game that children played for generations before anyone thought to patent it. This is the story of how a traditional East African game became a multi-million-dollar brand and how the original creators were erased from the story. For generations, children across East Africa, Tanzania, Kenya, Uganda, played a simple game with wooden blocks. Local carpenters would cut off cards from their workshops, rough pieces of wood, imperfect but perfectly functional. Children would take these blocks and stack them into towers. The rules were simple. Pull out a block from the middle or bottom, place it on top. Don't let the tower fall. The last person to successfully move a block wins. It wasn't fancy. It had no brand name. It was just what children did after school, on weekends, in village squares. It taught patience, strategy, steady hands, engineering principles without calling them that. And it was free. It was theirs. It was African. In the 1970s, a British girl named Leslie Scott was living in Ghana. Her family had moved there, and like many expatriate children, she played with local Ghanaian kids. That's where she first saw the game. African children stacking blocks, laughing when towers fell, strategizing about which block to pull next.
Your turn.
Leslie joined in. She learned the game the way any child would, by watching, by playing, by losing a few times. A Ghanaian craftsman even made a special set of blocks for her family. Hand-cut, carefully measured, a gift, or perhaps purchased for a small amount. The craftsman's name, not recorded. His face, not photographed. His contribution, about to disappear from history. But the game stayed with Leslie. Years later, she would return to it. Now here's where people get confused about Jenga's origin. The game Leslie learned in Ghana wasn't invented in Ghana. Ghanaian children were playing a game that had spread across East Africa, originating in Tanzania and Kenya, where it was most deeply rooted in the culture. The Swahili word Jenga itself is Tanzanian. The game's heartland was always East Africa. But Leslie's personal connection to the game came from Ghana, where she lived as a child. She experienced it there. A Ghanaian craftsman made her set. This is important. The game is East African. Leslie's introduction to it was Ghanaian. Both facts are true. Both communities deserve acknowledgement. What happened next erased them both. By the early 1980s, Leslie Scott had moved back to Britain. She was an adult now, running a toy company, and she remembered that game from her childhood, the African block stacking game.
This reminds me of the wood stacking game in Ghana when I played it as a child.
In 1983, she launched it commercially. She called it Jenga, using the Swahili word to give it that exotic appeal. The packaging had an African-sounding name, but the branding was thoroughly Western. She trademarked the name. She patented the design specifications, the exact dimension of the blocks, the ratio of length to width, the number of blocks per set. Things that African children had figured out through trial and error over generations were now legally owned by a British woman. In 1987, she sold Jenga to Parker Brothers, later Hasbro, for what reports suggest was a substantial amount. The game exploded globally. Today, Jenga has sold over 80 million units. It's in homes across the world. It generates millions in annual revenue. The African children who invented it, unnamed, unpaid, unacknowledged on the package. To be clear, Leslie Scott has never hidden the fact that she learned Jenga in Africa. In interviews, she mentions Ghana. She acknowledges the game existed before she commercialized it. But here's the problem with how this story gets told. The Jenga box says created by Leslie Scott, not commercialized by. not adapted from African tradition. Created. Most people who buy Jenga have no idea it's African. They assume it's just another Western board game like Monopoly or Scrabble. The African origins are mentioned, if at all, as a fun footnote, as background trivia, as inspiration. But the truth is, Leslie Scott didn't invent Jenga. She branded it, she marketed it, she patented something that already existed. And in doing so, she did what colonialism has always done: take African knowledge, claim ownership, profit from it, and reduce the original creators to nameless inspiration. Jenga isn't unique. This pattern repeats constantly. African, indigenous knowledge exists for generations. A Westerner discovers it, they patent or trademark it, they profit enormously, the originators get a footnote if they are lucky. Shea butter from West Africa, now in luxury cosmetics. African women who have used it for centuries see none of the profit. Rooibos tea from South Africa. Indigenous Khoisan people developed it, but a corporation owns the trademark. Yoga from India. Quinoa from Peru. Traditional medicines from indigenous communities worldwide. The global South creates, the global North extracts. Patents, profits. The world forgets who made it first. And we are told this is globalization, cultural exchange, innovation. But there's a word for taking someone else's creation, putting your name on it, and selling it back to the world. Theft. So the next time you play Jenga, and you should, it's a genuinely great game. Just remember, before it had a trademark, it was played freely across East Africa. Before it had a patent, African children had already perfected the design. Before it made millions, it belongs to communities who never saw a cent. The blocks you are stacking, they are built on an African foundation. The least we can do is remember whose hands built it first. And now you know their story.
Really well done telling of that story. There's another attachment to this, but before I get to that, just want to say, guys in the chat, let's keep it respectful. You might not agree with a panelist's thought, but that doesn't mean a thought process. That doesn't mean to be disrespectful. I try, and I think the moderators do too, try not to overly moderate the chat, allow people some freedom to, to express themselves. But when it becomes disrespectful and almost personal, we gotta cut that. We gotta cut that out. So please be respectful. The second attachment, make sure you guys can see. The second attachment takes us to Instagram. There's a little reel. We'll watch it, then we'll discuss it all.
This game moved from Ghana to becoming a global favorite without even a single trace of its origin. Now, I'm sure most of you guys might have seen this game being played at parties, in movies, and even on TV shows. But have you ever wondered where it really came from? Now, this game, which is popularly known as Jenga, was originally called Osiadine, which means one who builds or a builder. It started in Takrade in a place called Amanfo, where kids in the area will find pieces of wood at the sawmill and then use it to play this particular game, where they'll put up a structure. Each person would remove it block by block until the whole thing collapses. And because Amanfo was in the very heart of the harbor, this became a very popular game in the area. So the question here, how did it move from Osiadine to becoming the name Jenga. It all started with this woman called Leslie Scott, who is a British woman but born in Tanganyika, now known as Tanzania. She was raised in Kenya and then finally brought to Ghana by her family in the 1970s. Now, when they came, they settled in Amalfo. It was a game that she and her family played at home. When they left for England, she took this game with her, and looking at how people fell in love with the game, she decided to trademark the whole thing under the name Kujenga in Swahili, which means to build.
It was Ghana, where it's a place where wood it's one of their major exports, is timber. These were I believe these were sort of offcuts from a timber mill, and they were just sort of blocks that he played around with.
The blocks were called Takoradi blocks.
Takoradi was the main port in Ghana. Having had this set for him, we then actually had a few sets made deliberately to play as this game that we called Takoradi Bricks. I mean, that was the basis of the game, the game that then I turned into Jenga.
How did this game move from Ghana to becoming a global favorite without even a single trace of its origin? Now, I'm sure most of you guys might have seen this game being played at parties, in movies, and even on TV shows. But have you ever wondered where it really came from? Now, this game, which is popularly known as Jenga, was originally called Osiadine, which means one who builds or a builder. It started in Takoradi in a place called Amalfo, where kids in the area will find pieces of wood at the sawmill and then use it to play this particular game, where they'll put up a structure. Each person would remove it block by block until the whole thing collapses. And because Amalfo was in the very heart of the harbor, this became a very popular game in the area. So the question here, how did it move from Osiadine to becoming the name Jenga? It all started with this woman called Leslie Scott, who is a British woman but born in Tanganyika, now known as Tanzania. She was raised in Kenya and then finally brought to Ghana by her family in the 1970s. Now, when they came, they settled in Amalfo. It was a game that she and her family played at home. When they left for England, she took this game with her, and looking at how people fell in love with the game, she decided to trademark the whole thing under the name Kujenga in Swahili, which means to build.
It was Ghana, where it's a place where wood it's one of their major exports, is timber. These were I believe these were sort of offcuts from a timber mill, and they were just sort of blocks that he played around with.
The blocks were called Takoradi blocks.
Takoradi was the main port in Ghana. Having had this set for him, we then actually had a few sets.
I feel like that's starting to play again. This is interesting. And before I saw this story, I had this idea once that, man, I wonder if there's some games in the continent that can be commercialized here with the intent of reconnecting African children with some African tradition and culture. And lo and behold, I guess a white person did this shit already. And of course, it's of no benefit to people in Ghana, where she actually got it from, or people in East Africa who originated the game. And that's a shame. By the way, if you do know games from the continent that you think will be interesting in America, hit me up and let me know. I'll like to discuss it. But this is what these folks do. And unfortunately, a lot of our history with these people is that we were unaware. We were simply just unaware of, that's some shit someone could do to you. Trinidad and Tobago has one of the most beautiful instruments created, the steel pan. Some white guys from Canada came and copied trademarks the steel pan. I think there might have been some reversal of that later on. I can't remember. I feel like I heard someone say that. But just the idea that someone could have come along, or two someones could have come along and just trademark this instrument that Africans and such was making out of oil or old oil drums and tuning them and making this music with it. You just took your ass in the year 2000 or something it was, 2001, somewhere around there, and you just went and just trademarked that away so that these people have to buy their own shit. But like Trigger Happy said in the chat, that's kind of the story of civilization. It's the I gotcha. Oh, you didn't know? Well, fuck it. I got you. And one of the things we have to do, I'll land my plane here, as African people, and only used to talk about this with the how to go, organize, strategize, technologize. That's what we have to be on now. We have to be at, I'm sorry, we got to start being at the front of what's coming along. In fact, we got to be the ones, I guess, curating that shit. Because our history with these people has been one of, we weren't aware of that could be a thing, that could happen. Black Steel, I'm going to go to you first, man. What say you to another cultural theft from Africa?
Something told me this was an African game just by the name Jenga. Jenga is the Swahili word. So she actually put the name of the game and gave it a Swahili name. So this lady's a millionaire off of this game. I was looking up the information because I was curious. I grew up playing Jenga. I play with my family all the time. We have a good time, and it's fun, right? But it says that Jenga has sold over 80 million Jenga games have been sold. 80 million. And it's licensed by Hasbro, which is a major toy company. This lady is making bank off of this. Because the name comes from the Swahili word kujenga, which means to build or construct. So the name is already in here, right? It's so funny. Just reading, you think she made it up herself. If you read the Wikipedia article, it says she grew up in Tanzania. She was a British national, and then she put it in London Trade Fair. So it leaves out the whole history of the game completely, right? And then all of a sudden she trademarks it. But this game has probably been around for thousands of years, and maybe they didn't see that. Maybe the Africans who created this game didn't see it as a economic opportunity. Again, they played it for centuries, probably. It's a game that kids play. Maybe they didn't see the commercial viability of it. But this woman, this white woman who created the game, who claimed, quote unquote, created Jenga, right? She had access to a major corporation like Hasbro, who was able to mass produce and market this game. How many Africans on the continent would have that same ability to not only get the game, be able to trademark it with the patent office, and from there, get with a company to manufacture it. Unfortunately, in our world, might makes right, and this woman had access to probably money and everything else. Again, she was growing up in East Africa. Probably her family was probably connected with the British government. So it's just a shame, really. It's not anything I'm happy to hear about. It's just a shame. We have to be more careful and be more aware of the value that we bring as African people. Our culture is valuable. Our arts, our music, our sciences, these are all things we should value and not just give them away to the highest bidder. And also, we got to protect our stuff, man, because what happens is that we let white people in there take our stuff and make money off of it, and we get forgotten completely. Every art form, Black people, every form of music Black people made in America has been co-opted. Not just hip hop, jazz, ragtime, rock and roll, all that stuff that we created. So this is just another link in a long chain of theft that's been going on to our people. I'll go ahead and I'll leave it here. Thanks.
Good stuff. Black Steel. Trigger Happy in the chat mentions, yeah, it's a communal game and a thinking game. This is pretty much a difference in worldview, but because we live in their world at the moment, we have to play their game so we can get to our world. Absolutely. We now have to make ourselves more astute, more aware, proactive, not reactive. There's another game that they commercialized from Africa too, and that's Mancala, one of my favorite games to play. I own a traditional African board and a more commercial board for traveling, right? Like, beautiful games, and you have to. Well, what's so crazy? They took the Mancala game. I don't know if you guys know this. I talked about this years ago on the podcast. They took Mancala, and they actually were able to use it in their computer programming languages and stuff. Creating computer models and all this type of shit of this Mancala game. Like, we really gotta start. I mean, I'm sorry I'm on my soapbox again, but it really hurts me to see how these folks got their way around us, took what they could take, and then used that against us. You know? Real Black Gentleman, what say you?
This is actually pretty saddening and like shocking. It's like, it's kind of like, oh my god, like, because it's like, you know, it's Jenga, so I would figure it's like, okay, that sounds African, right? You know what I'm saying? Maybe, you know what I'm saying, I would have easily assumed that a black person, you know what I'm saying, came up with it. You know what I'm saying? God has come up. It does happen, right? So yeah, that's the greatest betrayal. You done came up, learned from people, and you just come up, make, you know, say it's yours, knowing that's just like the raw extraction of intellectual property. You know what I'm saying? It's just modern. I grew up playing Jenga. You know what I'm saying? It's like, ooh, Jenga. It's like, ooh, Jenga's even, you know what I'm saying? Because it is fun. It's like you try to balance. It's a game of balance. You try to stack it on just right so it doesn't just tip over. You got to place it just right with just enough. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to disturb. Yes, it's fun. It's Jenga. But but it's not Jenga. There's, like you said, there's the name of it. And she made it up. Oh my God. That's terrible. This is why. See, I mean, it's hard. You can't really judge too harshly because it's just like, all I could say is like, yo, maybe we can get that back at some point. Maybe, you know what I'm saying, people don't want to play Jenga no more. You know what I'm saying? They want to play better toys, and kind of just like, you know what I'm saying, get them concepts back. You know what I'm saying? You know, there's something intrinsic about it. You know what I'm saying? That's something to keep an eye on for like long term. Like, you know, Jenga, like, get Jenga back real quick. But yeah, that's all I can say is like, there's a lot of things in Africa that you don't want to let these folks know about. There's no reason. It's like this is the new colonialization. It's the neo-colonialization. It's like, okay, they weren't colonies, but now they're going to come back and just kind of like be tourists and kind of hang around and live and stuff. You know, it's like, it's just, it's frustrating because it's just like, you know, I hear about this today. You know what I'm saying? Thinking that, okay, at least knowing that Africans had the ups on it, but knowing that she had patented it, you can't really, you know, they made the blocks a certain size for a certain reason. If you want to make bigger or smaller blocks, the dynamics aren't the same. The effect isn't the same. You know what I'm saying? The type of wood and all that, you can't just use heavy wood or extra light wood. You gotta use the right wood. It's just, so yeah, that's a shame. That's carrying the identity theft, cultural theft. That's crazy. That's done. I'm done.
You know what, RBG, you said something that refocused my mind just now. You know, These Africans, for centuries, as Black Seal also pointed out, had this game for centuries. And they basically did the research and development of that game. She didn't even have to invest in the R&D for that game. It was handed to her. The video makes mention of it. The first video made mention of it too, how African intellect had to kind of shape and craft the game to what it's known to be. Like, for real, for real. What I mean, what a betrayal. And a part of the term betrayal I'm using is betrayal of our own self. Like we just wasn't up on it. By the way, Trigger Happy made me aware Mancala is called either Oware or Owari in Ghana. So he did mention that earlier, which comes from Kemet. I can't remember if that was the game called Sonnet or not, but yeah, it's a long-lived game, and these guys were able to commercialize that too, low-key. And not only that, Trigger, did you hear about them using it in these mathematical models for these computer programs and stuff? Very interesting stuff. But Kofi, what say you to what you've heard so far?
I think it was John Henry Clark. I forgot who it was. He said the only thing the white man ever invented was the patent office. And we could see that they take a lot of credit for things that they didn't have. And me getting into consciousness, I'm going to mention Dr. Clark again and Dr. Ben again. I realized I had to unlearn everything and learn everything again. I was going into conscious spaces saying that, white people, the Greeks invented algebra. And they look at me like I'm crazy. And they had to look at me with a God bless his heart type of look. And they had to teach me. I'm not sure how true it is, but in the story, when the white lady was, playing with it and the Ghanaian guy saw she had an interest in it and he crafted her own play set. He's doing too much. Again, I'll quote Dr. Clark. The greatest thing about our people is the bad thing about our people. The greatest thing about our people is our humanity, and see the humanity in other people. Our downfall is not recognizing that same humanity in people. You know what I'm saying? Those people don't have that same humanity just because they have 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, and all that. That's our problem. He was doing too much. And I think another game that I think they took, one from Kemet, I think it was chess. I think chess was a game that they were playing in Kemet. I think it's on the walls, or I think it's papyrus or papyrus or a wall text that they had when they're talking about the when you're in when you're dead and you're passing time and you're going through the different pillars of judgment and things like that, and what you do to pass time is the game that you played. And I believe it was chess to pass the times, because Africans, we believe in afterlife and reincarnation and everything. Don't let the Hindus take that from you. We invented reincarnation. We even our Christian brothers and sisters that are Black American or Caribbean, they'll say, "Hey, look, you look like you've been here before." Or they say, you know what? You have an old soul. Like, that only's happening if you believe in reincarnation. But we need to really tighten up on our culture and our culture and all the things that we have, because people will always capitalize on it. We have to stop, be very, very careful and safeguard our culture, because people will profit off of us and won't even give us our due. So that's it.
Appreciate that, Kofi. With that said, Sister Cheryl, you've heard everything everyone else had to say. What say you to all of it?
Okay, just did a quick search. It says based on available records, there is no evidence that Tanzanian people protested the game Jenga when it was introduced in 1983. There's like nothing. So, and we should be thinking, okay, well, why would they not protest something like that? And I think this comes down to the Christianization of our people and how much damage it did. So somebody said the humanity, we're just, we're a people and we just consider all human life. I would argue that it's not humanity, but it's Christianity, and it's a disease that makes us believe that we're all the same. And that's the reason why when you go into these villages, same thing anywhere you see Christianity present, and you see what do they call it? The missionaries. Um, the reason, I mean, they didn't protest because they've been Christianized. It's really that simple. Um, and I think it's in white people's nature to people say, well, it's not white people, it's capitalism, but I mean, these things don't create themselves. I'm not saying anybody here said that, but you often hear that. Well, it's capitalism, it's socialism, but white people created these systems, and they created these systems because they always feel like they gotta be in competition with one another. And I'm kind of veering off a little bit, but when you go to black churches, when you go to any Christian church, what's the thing that you notice that they do? They're always competing against each other. Who's best dressed? Who's got the best car? Who loves the Lord more? Like we have fully and wholly adopted like the pacific, like we are so pacified into Christianity. We just allow anything, and we think it's okay. Why? Because we're all human, right? This is why the human problem, why that idea, oh, we're all human, this is why that's a problem. This is a perfect example of why that's a problem, and it's like millions of other examples too. We don't make the connection between us being pacified and allowing other groups of people to come in and take our stuff. We complain about the problem, but we don't see the cause. And this is awful. But when you going up against a people where it's in their nature, it is wholly in their nature to take things, and hey, it's first come first serve, because that's just how they are. Like that's how they were. I think in like I just think white people are just like that. They just, I gotta be on top. I gotta be on top. Everybody's gotta answer to me. I gotta be everybody's savior. Like they're always competing, and black people don't really. We don't look at something and say, okay, well, how can I make this a multi-billion-dollar company? Because we're too focused on collectivism. And when you're an individual, when you're focused on individualism, you're always focused on being the best, outdoing people. That's a concept that's not really a thing on the continent, or it hasn't been a thing. But we know when they bring their institutions and their universities and stuff, it becomes a thing. But it's like this idea of progressivism. We always got to be doing better, better, better. There's no end. And in African societies, there's always a sense of community. There's always a sense of, well, what I do affects someone else. And if someone did this, then I have to give them credit for it. People, like, I think our people are just like that. But when you thrust Christianity on top of it, it makes it worse, because now you have people that come in and do this, and we don't think it's a problem because we're all human. So yeah, it's just that's the problem. So I'll end it there.
In the chat, RBG mentioned maybe give the village the patent would be the best step. RBG, you want to talk more about that?
Yeah, straightforward. It's just like acknowledging that, you know, she clearly this is not her original idea. This is it's objective fact that, look, I mean, you can deduce that if these people are playing this game before she got there that resembles Jenga in exacting specification, and then all of a sudden she, you know, miraculously conceives this game that, you know, and she gives it a name called the Builder. Like, she didn't, again, it's like, it's everything about it just naturally. It's like she learned it somewhere. It was a village, some peoples. It was the village. It was the whole people. So just give it back to the village. You know, just symbolically, it will become like the property of the village itself, and then the village will just get all the royalties. And, you know what I'm saying? They'll make bank, and they'll be able to do what they need to do with the money and give it to who they need to give it to. Hopefully just connect with other, you know what I'm saying, people who play, who are creators of that craft, and just, you know, because it's integral. I mean, it's ingenious. It's more than a game. It's patience. I mean, you can compete with one another. I get it, but if you just do it by yourself, I mean, you know, you don't want it to collapse, but you want it to build, and you just try to find that stress point. You're trying to just avoid it, but you want to do as much as you can. That's all I gotta say. You know what I'm saying? It's classically ours. It's classically African, and it should be acknowledged as such.
Absolutely. There's no last thoughts, man. Let's try to squeeze in this last one, because this was supposed to happen last week. Shooter Breeze topic number 4 says, Israel recognizing Somaliland is yet another example of Zionist colonial management in Africa. Israel should be a worry for Black people. This comes with a couple of attachments, all taking us to Instagram. So I'll just go down the line. You should be able to see. Good thing I checked. Now you should be able to see my screen. So I'll play it, and then I'll just move down the line.
ذاتنا تظهر أن هناك 3 خطوات مهمة تمت في الصومال. الأولى هو إعادة توطين الفلسطينيين في أرض الصومال. ثانيا توفير قاعدة عسكرية لإسرائيل في خليج عدن، في ساحل خليج عدن. والخطوة الثالثة أن تنضم أرض الصومال إلى اتفاقات أبراهام. هذه هي المطالب الإسرائيلية الثلاثة التي قبلت بها أرض الصومال. هذه كما تفيد معلوماتنا. إذن ليس واحدة أو هي الثلاثة، وإذا تم تطبيق هذه الثلاثة ماذا سيحدث مستقبلا؟ سينفتح صندوق الشرور في العالم.
So that video was made last week by the Somali president, right?
Not only for our benefit, but for America's benefit as well.
Okay, one last question, because now you have to go. Somaliland. I had to look it up on the map. You have recognized Somaliland. You are the first nation to do so. Now that I know where it is, I studied a little history for it, but why? What provoked that and the timing?
Well, Somaliland has 6 billion citizens, moderate Muslims. They want to join the Abraham Accords, and I think that's very good. They are Democrats, have had elections. The rest of Somalia, which is hodgepodge, has had al-Shabaab terrorists there. Never had elections since for decades. Got a lot of terrorists coming there. So why not support democratic, moderate country, Muslim country that wants to join the Abraham Accords? I think everybody should do that.
But I guess
we didn't see it
coming.
First.
I guess we didn't see it coming, and you were the first nation, and I'm going, Somaliland?
Yeah, Somaliland, yeah.
All right, well, I'll have to go visit Somaliland. I take you can help me get a interview with the president.
I'll do my best.
All right, thank you, sir. It's always nice to see you, and nice to see you here in the United States.
Yeah, I was saying. I said it the other day. They were in my videos talking, where did you get this? Well, yeah. I'm like, I got this information from top level. Well, not like I found the information being spoken about by top level staff from Somalia. They're claiming that the deal was Israel gets to send 2 million Palestinians. They get to relocate 2 million Palestinians to Somaliland. That's one. Two, Somaliland gets to give them land so that they can build a military base so that they can attack the Houthis and remove the choke point. And three, they get to join the Abraham Accords. Somali president came out and said it last week. Netanyahu has now confirmed it. Yeah, I was saying I was bugging. We got some breaking news, y'all. Y'all gonna love this. UAE has also quietly recognized Somaliland without announcing it. They now accept passports and documents from Somaliland in their official visa website. Visitors from Somalia are banned from UAE. There you go. UAE has become the second country to officially recognize Somaliland. They just didn't make any statements. They didn't make any speeches. They just quietly added it to the list of passports that they now accept. Meanwhile, Somalis are not allowed in UAE. We are watching Africa be carved back up like a cake by these people. After 1,000 of years, however long they've colonized us, I thought we would wake up. I thought we would have some kind of sense. I thought we're watching them, they're redoing this all over again. This is the Berlin Conference happening again. Instead of them sitting down in one time table and splitting Africa like their property, this time it's happening slowly. And we are willing, we are accepting, we are welcoming them. We are welcoming our own fucking oppressors. We are welcoming our colonizers. We are printing their flags and are happy that our colonizers are coming to colonize us. This is insane. We got So apparently, Israel recognizes Somaliland as something they've been planning for 80 years. It says Somaliland is Israel's 80-year-old project. The project was called Harar Council. The 34-page document is on my Linktree bio. Let's go ahead and check the document, shall we? We're just going to read the parts that have been squared off. Okay, it says, my proposal is to unite the so-called Harar territory of the Ethiopia part with the British Somaliland and create there a state for the European Jews. This territory is large enough. It would be easy to develop 60,000 to 7,000 square miles for this one purpose. The territory is inhabited by small agricultural population who are not likely to raise great difficulties. Nevertheless, it will be necessary to remember that the lessons learned by the Palestinian experience, namely to prevent the territory being overrun by people from other parts of Ethiopia and to keep out foreign The climate on the plateau is absolutely healthy and suitable for Europeans. Those parts of the Somali coast which have a bad climate could be improved in a measurable time by irrigation. The Harar territory is particularly suitable for agriculture and hence for mass immigration. It would have ready markets for its agriculture and later in industrial products for the interior of Africa, in the Arabian countries and parts of India. Politically, these territories belong to, already stated, to the Great Britain and the Empire of Ethiopia. In July 1933, British government proposed to the Emperor of Ethiopia that the port of Zeila and certain other parts of the British Somaliland be ceded to him if he were prepared to make certain concessions to Italy. It is therefore not impossible that the British government may today be ready to cede a rather large portion of Somaliland together with the port of Berbera to the European Jewish state we have in mind. So 80 years ago, they had a plan to turn Somaliland into a European state. and they said they needed to learn from the experience. And the small group that were there, the Somali people, the Somalilanders, they were going to learn from the Palestinian experience so that they could not face objection. And they have learned from the Palestinian experience, because now you have Somalilanders. The largest printing press, not printing press, but factory that prints whatever in Somaliland has now been exclusively printing Israeli flags. They are there welcoming them. These motherfuckers have no fucking idea what they're about to bring upon Africa. Because once the Israelis get land in Africa that they call theirs, it's over for the rest of us.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Yeah, that's a lot. That is a lot. I hope the chat and the panelists have digested all that we got there. I will take time even after this broadcast to think about it. But that is a lot. Sister Cheryl, let me start with you. What are your thoughts on Israel recognizing Somaliland?
Yeah, it's pretty much it's I don't know, it's just so sad. I think when most people hear that, and they're from, maybe if they're from that area, and anybody correct me if I'm wrong, but they're from that area and they're hearing Somaliland is being recognized. That I think the way they word that is just intentional. They're just confusing people about where their loyalties lie. Because they don't really. I was just reading a little bit about um people in that area that live in Israel, and just how, like, the black people that live in that area and how they're even treated by Israeli people. Um, it's this similar thing as to how we're treated over here in America. It's nothing different. It's like everything's pretty much the same. Only thing that's different is the religion, but it serves the same purpose. And I think sometimes when you're not political minded and you're so into your religion, all you hear is your land is being recognized. And that's what they probably think that's a good thing. A lot of people probably think that's a good thing. In the same way that Black people who are FBA think it's a good thing that the US mainstream media is recognizing them. I just it's just really sad that people are so bamboozled by religion, and it makes sense, but just looking at some of the things that and the ways that Black people are treated in that land, it's like a lot of I'm not it's like a lot. I was just reading something about Ethiopians, like, in Israel, and how they did not even want to be called Black. And I think our first prompt in this prompt kind of connected that way, because the Ethiopians didn't even want to be called Black. They wanted to be called, it was something else. I can't remember the name. They didn't want to be called Black until they realized how the Israelis were treating them. And then they wanted to be called Black. It's like so many, we do the same things as people. We're confused in the same ways, the same but different, all over the world. And it's just, I don't know, man. It's just really sad. And I hope, I mean, I know it's not going to happen, but I hope something happens where someone intervenes for this not to happen, or I don't know, because the political aspect of it's not going to be there, because there's too much of the religion involved.
Did Cheryl cut out?
Hello?
All right. All right. Real Black Gentleman, Israel recognizing Somaliland. How do you feel about it?
It's more unnecessariness. It's more blatant protectorate, kind of like, you know, it's the subterfuge and all of it. You know, it's not necessary, and then you try to figure out, okay, what's the real intent? It's like you see I see East Africa, right? You would think historically it was Ethiopia, right? It was just Ethiopia. It was just Nubia. It was just it had to be just, you know what I'm saying? It's just all just one place. Now you look at the map. I remember growing up knowing Ethiopia again went to the sea. You know what I'm saying? It was Ethiopia had the whole coast, and we knew about ships in Ethiopia sailing around. I was taught that growing up, and then all of a sudden, 1993, Eritrea, and they have the whole coast, and so Ethiopia's all shrunk up. This is that again is the beginning of all this stuff. Then you have this Djibouti. What's a Djibouti? You know what I'm saying? What is this country? Who is what's up with this? And then you have Somalia, and then Lord knows Somalia wants to break up into 4 or 5 countries. You have Al Shabaab up there. You have all kinds of people, all kinds of things cutting up. You know, Ethiopia trying to get back to the sea because Eritrea they've fallen out amongst themselves. And they've seceded successfully and broken away, and now that they fight each other, it's not fun. This is the downside of nationalism. Naturally, is that you start to everything around you starts to you start to just pick away at each other, and you start to have smaller and smaller countries. All of that could easily just be one country. Imagine, I mean, you had the East African community. You had Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. You know what I'm saying? It's like you then have, you know, Ethiopia, the greater Sudan, let's say historically, and Somalia, right? I don't even think Djibouti I think that was probably a part of Somalia or Ethiopia probably before they broke away. You know what I'm saying? And so like you had these strong. It's like, why? What is it besides the religion? Because at this point, with Ethiopia, they in Jewish fetish that they run in, like that shit is embarrassing though. Like it's like of all things, like Ethiopia has a lot to be proud of on its own. It successfully defended itself against Italy in World War II when Italy was on this fascism kick, and you know what I'm saying, they caught that L in Ethiopia. And everyone around, all black people came to Ethiopia's defense. People from America all over came to Ethiopia's defense. They have a lot to be proud of. You know what I'm saying? Then you look and you see the sectarianism, the partisanship, where Ethiopia is just falling apart, and everyone around it is falling apart. I don't like. There's times and places where secession seems to be sensible, but when it seems to be religion, it seems to be like, well, we just want to do. It's like when you have it gets real flaky and frail, and you have like strong men coming again, rally people, and it's like grievances, and it's just things. And again, a lot of that could be fostered in from the outside as well. It's like you look at the geopolitics, and it's just like a strong Ethiopia with access to the Nile and the Red Sea. How? Why do you not want to be a part of that nation? You know what I'm saying? It's to me, I see it, and it's just like, man, I don't know. I mean, it's like you don't want these outsider states. You don't want a whole bunch of Djiboutis and Eritreas and Somalilands on the outside of Africa. You don't want that because they'll just use those as ports to go in, have equipment, operations. You know what I'm saying? All kinds. Man, I'll tell you what. At this point, I just worry about the bio shit. You know, they'll just do some shit. Well, they'll just have, you know, black people just like keeled over on some mystery virus type shit. I swear, at this point, it's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Let alone the other type of shit. But it's like, how do you not like geopolitically? When you want power in your land and that stuff, that's cool, and I get it. But don't you want something greater? I don't like it at all. I mean, Somalia, I just wish, you know, was a part of just a larger. I think Ethiopia, Somalia, and Kenya on Miracle Land would be one country. And the Sudan would be one country. Greater Kush
resurrected. Oh my God, why? Why can't we just do it? Why do men have to be so brash with each other and just like have everything of their own within their hand and not like find a way to work and gain bounty amongst each other? I swear it's like really, because you have leaders and they're leaders for reasons, and they have command and control over forces that bind political boundaries. If you can like get people to work and have this land, and the peoples who in a lot of cases, like the Messiah, like there's all kinds of cross boundary communities, if we could just like put all those pieces together and just unify and just cohese, just like the AES, it would be great. You know what I'm saying? The AES really can teach a lot of people things. Like on God and Gang, I wish that they would just. I'll be 90 years old and they've still existed. Because I mean, again, it has happened before where confederations fall apart. Senegambia in Mali. Again, the EAC, Greater EAC with Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. I mean, these things happen, but they fall apart. I don't like Somaliland. I don't like all this Israelisms. None of it. None of it's good. I'm gonna pass the mic.
Yeah, good stuff, RBG. Black Seal, you've heard everything everyone else had to say, and you see the chat. What say you to all of it?
So this is in response. So Israel is so petty, man. This is in response to so many nations recognizing Palestine, right? So, not too long ago, a lot of different nations across the world recognized Palestine as a state, right? So due to Palestine having political recognition, now all of a sudden, excuse me, Israel wants to recognize Somaliland. All right, so the timing of this is no coincidence, number one. Number two, you got to be careful when other countries get involved in these little sectarian wars. So now Somalia, now you have other countries who are recognizing this nation's right to exist, right? And you would think, oh, they're bringing freedom or whatnot. He's talking about bringing democracy. But like the poster said, this allows them to establish a military base. This allows them to start to attack the Houthis in Yemen, right? I'm pretty sure there's some farmland they're going to want control of. So them recognizing Somaliland is not for Somaliland's benefit, but it's only to cause unrest and instability. Just like the entire Berlin Conference we learned about Africa being carved up by the European powers to best extract resources. This is a strategic move by the state of Israel to put a military power and to attack their enemies in the Red Sea. The Houthis are blocking shipping in the Red Sea as a way to force them to comply with the international UN request on genocide, right? So the Houthis doing what they do. Oh, we can get a base in Somaliland. We can attack them from across the Red Sea or whatever. So understand that this is all part of the plan. They're not going there if they love democracy. They're going there because it's strategic for them. And that's very much what the problem is. I don't think there's enough countries in the world who's willing to recognize Somaliland, right? We haven't heard the U.S. recognize them. We haven't heard China or any other major power, any other African power recognize them. Most of them recognize this is a breakaway state of Somalia, but this is a way to further cause unrest within the Horn of Africa, very strategic region. Some of the richest fishing grounds in the world, which is being constantly stolen by nations of the Middle East and Asia. They're constantly fishing off Somali waters, depleting their fishing stock. But again, if you can cause Somaliland, now you have, while the infighting is going on, they can walk in and steal your stuff, steal your resources. And that's very much what they're trying to do. I'll stop there. Thank you.
Yeah, good stuff all around, guys. Yeah, it's definitely something we should be worried about. Trigger Happy in the chat says, I read a really good article about Zionism in Haiti. I posted in the server. Israel is important to America because it acts as a proxy gun that gives enough deniability to hide American interests. Absolutely. Absolutely. There's no last thoughts to that prompt, man. I would like to discuss shout outs this week. Before you guys leave the panel tonight or the chat, post your shout outs in the chat. I'll try to read them on air. But in the meantime, let me start with Sister Alma on the panel. What's your shout out this week, my dear? Anything positive that happened to you or what you've seen in the Black world? Looks like Alma is not there. Real Black Gentleman, what would you like to shout out this week?
Just nothing in particular. I'll say this. I want to give a shout out to my mom. She passed away this year ago today. I didn't let any of you guys know about it when it happened. I kind of kept it to myself, but I will mention it now.
My condolences. My condolences.
Yeah, I'm thank you. My condolences. I mean, it's to you, Koku. I mean, yeah. Our parents. I'm gonna give a shout out to the parents. They do what they do. The ones that hold it down the best they can in this world that we get brought up in, and we try to figure it out, and we get told stuff from our parents, and sometimes it ain't right. Most of the time it is. You know, they love you. And you know, that's what we're here for. We're here to keep pushing and to keep going and to make a new generation. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're here for. I'm gonna give a shout out to Black parents because this is what we're here for. We're here going through all of this, and we gotta just keep carrying the torch. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're here. We were brought from nothingness to form, and now we exist, and we convey our energies through this and through this world. And this, you know what I'm saying? We go out here and we try to bring harmony. Those of us, and we try to reject the powers of disorder and isfit. You know what I'm saying? Got to break down that isfit, and we got to, you know, that isfit in us. We have to harness it so that, you know what I'm saying, we got to use chaos against chaos. You got to do it, but you can't use it to break yourself down. That's the moral. I guess that's what I will learn from my mom. And you know, you got to make the best out of what you have. She cooked chitlins. I never really liked chitlins, but I ate them once or twice, so I know about that from that worst, and making something out of it. Throw a little hot sauce on it. You know, I'm gonna pass the mic.
Shout out to your mom for sure. Condolences, and Trigger Happy in the chat says condolences as well. Trigger also wants to shout out Speed. I Show Speed. He said, I was anticipating this tour, and it's pretty nice. He has a sort of minstrel past, but I like some of the tour he is doing. He went to Egypt, and the vibes were off. He showed some Black North Africans, too, in Algeria. Very nice. Very nice. Shout out to Speed. With that said, Black Steel, what would you like to shout out this week?
You know, I want to shout out Haiti, man. You know, it was January 1st it was Haiti's anniversary of their overthrow from France. They've been going through some tough times. I don't really hear enough about Haiti. They were the first. They were the vanguard, you know, in the struggle for Black liberation and freedom. And so, shout out to them. I know they've been going through some tough times, but that's all.
Appreciate that, Black Steel. You're actually right. We didn't talk enough about that at the start of the year. But shout out to all of you, man. All of you guys who came through, represented again this week. Shout out to the panel. You know, it seemed a little iffy if we would get a good number of panelists tonight, but we did. So I want to shout out you guys. We ought to be back next week. Shout out to Buana, who's still, coming off of his passing and burial of his mother. Shout out to Jacadero. I expect Jacadero to be back soon, sometime soon. So shout out to him as well, man. I'll see you guys next week. In the meantime, you guys be good. Join the Discord if you haven't. Peace.
Thanks for listening to the Bitter Medicine Podcast with your host, Koku. If you like what you just heard, we hope you pass along our web address, bittermedicineblogs.com, to your friends and colleagues, and share our show to all your social media. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts. This has been a KWAZ radio production. Join us next time for another session of the Bitter Medicine Podcast. Follow us on Facebook at Bitter Medicine Show, Twitter, Bitter Meds, Tumblr, Bitter Meds, Instagram, Bitter Medicine.